Good morning and welcome to the Nevada State Board of Pharmacy June 2026 meeting. Today is Thursday, June 4th, and our meeting will now come to order. My name is Helen Park and I'll be the presiding officer. We'll start with the Board of Pharmacy mission statement. In regulating the practice of pharmacy, the Nevada State Board of Pharmacy has a duty to carry out and enforce the provisions of Nevada law to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Next, we'll do our roll call. Mr. Adam Porath.
Here.
Ms. Shanice Taylor.
Present.
Ms. Crystal Freitas.
Here.
Ms. Jade Jacobo.
Present.
Ms. Anna Carr.
Anna's with us. Give her a second to unmute herself. Anna, are you there?
Hi, yes, good morning. Sorry, I'm here.
Thank you. And then Mr. Richard Tomaso is excused today. Okay. All right. We have a quorum present. Mr. Weiss, any announcements before we begin?
Just a couple. Good morning, Madam President. As I mentioned yesterday, LCB file R072-25 has been tabled at your request. We will not be reviewing that item today. We will not be have a separate public comment time for that, but we will have public comment at the beginning and the end of the meeting. If anybody wants to provide public comment, they are welcome to do that. The board meeting will be held in compliance with Nevada open meeting law. Certain components of it will happen on Zoom. The public can see the people on Zoom to the left on the TV screen, and the board members know where to go look. And I do want to recognize Jody Lewis is in the meeting today, so appreciate you, Jody, and thanks for all your service in the past, previous board member. With that, Madam President, I wish you a good meeting.
I also see Melissa Shea.
I looked for Melissa. It's a shake. Thank you too. Sorry about it.
All right. As our next order of business, the board will open up the floor for any public comment. If we have anyone in the room who wishes to make a public comment, I ask that you come forward now. Or if we have anyone online, you may raise your hand by pressing *9 or *6, or let us know through the chat function.
Just approach the table. While he's approaching the table, I will also mention 4AA that was on the 4AAA that was on the consent agenda. When we were reviewing it, we had some questions about it. We've reached out to that person, but have not made contact with them. So if you don't vote on that, it'll stay where it is, not passed. We'll either have it at a future meeting or see what he wants to do with with that application.
Thank you. Appreciate the follow-up on that. Hey, welcome.
Just come up to the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it, to the microphone.
This one right here? Okay. Stand or sit or?
You may sit.
Might need to turn the microphone on with the line going up. There
You're good.
go. Okay.
Very good.
Okay, this is my first Nevada Board of Pharmacy meeting. And the regulation I was going to speak on today, I just heard today tabled, but I'm going to speak on it anyway. So I prepared something. It is 2 a.m. and I've been the only pharmacist in this.
Before you begin, I'm sorry,
Okay.
could you just state your full name and identify yourself for the record?
I was going to do it in the second paragraph.
In the second, I'm sorry, but if you could do it then and now.
You got it. Okay, my name is David Harriman. My board number, I'm a licensed pharmacist. My board number is 19353. Okay, thank you. It is 2 a.m. and I have been the only pharmacist in this hospital since 11. On my screen is an order for a newborn in the NICU. A dose so small that one misplaced decimal is not an error. It is a death. So I slow down, I check it twice, and while I check it, a child 2 floors up is going into septic shock. And the antibiotic that could turn it around is waiting in my queue for the only person who can verify it, me. Slow down and the child waits, speed up and the newborn is in danger. There is no second pediatric pharmacist in the building to check my work. When an order is complicated, my only backup is a text to a colleague who is home, asleep, and the hope that somebody answers. And that was not my worst night, it was an ordinary one. When that is the reality at the largest children's hospital in the state, it is not a workflow problem. It is a staffing crisis. My name is David Harriman. I'm a doctor of pharmacy licensed by the board and 10 years a clinical pharmacist. For months, I put my staffing concerns in writing to my director, my pharmacy manager, and human resources. On April 1st, I put them in writing one more time. On April 2nd, I was placed on unpaid administrative leave. My badge was deactivated and I was banned from the hospital campus. It has been 63 days with no answers to my concerns and no resolution to my situation. I'm not asking the board to decide why it happened. I'm telling you because of what I learned, I need to do something about it. I support R072-25 because today there is no protection in pharmacy law for a pharmacist who reports a staffing concern. This regulation would be the first time this board could act at all. Under Section 5, my concern would have required a written answer within 72 hours, kept on file for this board to inspect. And doing those things to a pharmacist for reporting a staffing concern in good faith would have been a violation this board could act on. Section 5 will not give me my job back, but it changes the math. It turns retaliation from the quiet, cheap option into a costly one, enough to make a pharmacy think twice. So I asked this board to adopt sections 4, 5, and 7 as drafted without weakening them. So a pharmacy is staffed the level state practice requires. A written staffing concern cannot be ignored or punished. And this board hears about it when patients are put at risk. Do that and a pharmacy fixes the staffing instead of removing the person who reported it. And every child in a hospital bed is safer for it. To every pharmacist who has ever seen a problem and stayed quiet because they cannot afford the consequences, this regulation says you should not have to make that choice. I spoke up, passed this regulation so the next pharmacist who speaks up does so with far less fear of losing their livelihood for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Do we have anyone else who wishes to make a public comment?
Not seeing anyone online, Madam President.
Right, so with that, we'll close the period of public comment for now. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the day. With that, we will move into our agenda items, starting with workshop number, agenda item 14A. I will turn it over to Dr. Long.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the board. This is item 14A, which begins on page 3567 of your board book. This is a proposed regulation adding a new section in Chapter 639 of the Nevada Administrative Code. The proposed language describes the manner in which pharmacies are to maintain records of the receipt, distribution, destruction, loss, or theft of a controlled substance handled by the pharmacy. This item may be familiar to you as it was presented to the board during the April board meeting, but it was subsequently tabled for staff to provide clarity to the language in subsection 1 of section 1. Specifically relating to record keeping of Schedule 3s and 4s and dangerous drug orders. The workshop has been revised with the addition of paragraph B in subsection 1, and paragraph B requires the pharmacy to maintain records of orders for Schedules 3s and 4s and dangerous drugs. And so the reason why, a little history regarding the proposed regulation is brought before the board today due to controlled substance theft we have seen by pharmacy employees and pharmacies, often due to lack of accounting or record keeping of controlled substances in the pharmacies, accounting or record keeping that has been delegated to pharmaceutical technicians or other staff that aren't pharmacists, and lack of investigation after a controlled substance loss. This regulation ensures that there is accurate accounting of controlled substances in pharmacies by requiring pharmacies to maintain certain records and to also maintain a perpetual inventory of Schedules 2 through 4 controlled substances. Additionally, any loss of controlled substances would require the pharmacy to initiate an investigation within 72 hours of discrepancy or loss and cause determined within 30 days. So that is the proposed regulation. I'll turn it over to the board for any questions.
Board members, any questions for Dr. Long at this time?
Right.
Okay.
Adam Horth for the record, let's see, section 2B. As far as the initiation of the investigation within 72 hours, and determination of a cause within 30 days. I'm just trying to reconcile that with the controlled substance loss and theft requirement to report within 10 days. And within that form, we have the requirement to do some amount of investigation to try and determine how that controlled substance was lost or stolen, what security measures have been taken to prevent future loss or theft. And so I think we just need to make sure that we shouldn't have 3 different time periods of initiating an investigation within 72 hours, reporting to the board within 10 days, and then having that investigation wrapped up. So I think we should just make sure that those 2 things marry up better.
Are you suggesting a change in the 72 hours? Per the DEA, any significant loss has to be reported immediately. So it is different state. We require it within 10 days. With the DEA, it's immediately. This is within 72 hours. Are you suggesting we state 10 days, or is there a suggestion there for a modification?
My suggestion is if the expectation is that the investigation is wrapped up within 30 days, and if our form is asking to do an investigation, that whatever the time frame is should be congruent.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
Any other questions at this time? We'll have chances later too, if you think of more. All right, so with that, I'll open up the floor for any public comment on this item. So if there is anyone in the room or online who would like to comment on this workshop item, please come forward or raise your hand or let us know through the chat function.
While Liz is getting ready, just for the record, all the public comment that we've received on any of these items is in front of you or was a part of the book if it got in on time. So you have that in front of you.
Thank you. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the board. For the record, Liz McMiniman, Retail Association in Nevada. I appreciate the board pulling back, and I appreciate Dr. Porras' remarks about the reporting. However, I've talked to our members and I've gotten feedback from many of my different members, and they all operate differently, as you know. It's a different, but the feeling is that instituting this electronic perpetual inventory log for these the C3s through 4s now, because we changed it from 5 to 4. Am I correct on that, Dave? Is that it's 4s, not?
I'll let Yen answer it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Is that right?
That didn't change from the language from the last board meeting, so it is 2 through 4.
2 through 4s.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. But our concern still is that this would be burdensome. No other state has required this. I'm not sure why we want to stand out as the first and foremost, but that's okay. I get the concern about the drugs, but the pharmacists already maintain multiple DEI compliant records, including detailing these C3s and 4s invoices, biennial inventories, and some pharmacies are equipped with automatic inventory systems which automatically add the acquired inventory to the balance on hand and deduct prescription fills from the balance on hand. Pharmacies, like I said, all operate differently, but this regulation would shift to an extensive amount of administrative burden on the pharmacist, pulling them away from patient care activities. This may delay prescription processing in some of our smaller pharmacies that don't have the electronic abilities to do this perpetual inventory log, directly impacting care and delivery and access. It limits focus on patient safety functions and places it on something, and also the functions such as identifying drug interactions, dosing errors, and adherence risks. So we're concerned about this, willing to work with the board. We're not sure But after listening to Dr. Port's comments, that was some of the things that was discussed within the members, and a call I had with the members was the timeframe also on reporting. So if we could look at that. Additionally, we leverage other systems-based safeguards such as restricting text from making on-hand adjustments for controlled substances and regular and recurring cycle counts to maintain these actual counts. So the pharmacist is the one who is doing this. That's the very person that should be focused on taking care of that patient, as opposed to now putting more administrative burden on that pharmacist within the pharmacy. So I appreciate you taking my comments this morning, and I will be more than willing to work and see what can be done and what the concern is, because I've sat in these board meetings and I've participated and been at every board meeting, and I haven't heard of a lot of diversion within the pharmacies for these class drugs that would facilitate this kind of movement within the board in a state that we have limited pharmacists. As you know, we're working on that, the staffing issues. There's so many things in Nevada that we have to be concerned about, as opposed to bringing up another administrative burden to put on the pharmacist. If there's some way that we can work on this and make the board happy, we'd be willing, our members are more than willing to come forward and help you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. We have someone else in the room. All right. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you guys for the opportunity to comment on this. My name is Danny Addison. I'm here on behalf of CVS Pharmacy. We also agree with some of the comments that Liz shared on behalf of RAN. I think our primary concern here is the 30-day determination requirement, and we would ask that if you move forward with this consideration in amending that, as Dr. Porth also commented on. I think the requirement in section 1, part 2B, where it says to determine the cause of the discrepancy or loss within 30 days, it may not be operationally feasible in all cases, particularly those where there are discrepancies involving complex dispensing systems, third-party system issues, or potential diversion, which just requires additional internal review. We respectfully request the board align this provision with the DEA standard under 21 CFR 1301.74C, which allows registrants time to investigate and to determine whether a loss is significant prior to reporting. So this is commonly interpreted as providing 45 days to complete that thorough investigation. We feel alignment with DEA expectations promotes consistency across compliance frameworks, reduces conflicting obligations, and supports accurate and not premature reporting to the DEA and to the board. So we would ask that you retain the requirement to initiate an investigation within 72 hours, but revise the rule to allow up to 45 days to determine the cause and whether reporting is even required. We believe allowing sufficient time ensures that reports submitted are complete, accurate, and meaningful, which ultimately enhances the board's oversight and patient safety objectives. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. All right, do we have anyone else in the room who wishes to make a public comment? Not, we'll move to online. Is there anyone online who wishes to make a public comment?
No, Madam President.
All right, thank you for your public comments. The period for public comment on this workshop item is now closed, and I'll turn it over to the board for any further questions and discussion. So I have just a couple comments and thoughts about the workshop language. I think it's important that we have language that and these amendments on the record keeping for controlled substances, because I have sat through many, many meetings these last couple of years. And I've always wondered how, like in some of the diversion cases, how is it that 5,000 tablets of a certain medication controlled substance is missing, or like the numbers are so high. And I'm like, how is that possible that it could be in the thousands without a pharmacy noticing the loss? And so it's always concerned me, because that diversion that takes place, which takes place on a regular basis, then those controlled substances go out into our community. And I think that is a great risk to the public. And so I am concerned about accurate record keeping. I think that it is very important that we ensure accurate counting of our narcotics. And I think that, even with like the DEA reporting, the DEA, you have to report that any loss, any significant loss right away. But the DEA too, like this is in response to some of the comments. I don't think the language is where you would be premature reporting, because even with the DEA, you could amend that report. And so my experience with the Board of Pharmacy too, when reporting a loss within that 10 days, if more information is found in the investigation, then that's just an amended report. So that's a complete reporting. But there's value in having language like this, because it pushes you to move quickly to address these issues, because the longer you have, some of the details or in the investigations get lost. So I think there's value in moving quickly in an investigation, especially when it comes to loss of controlled substances. I am open to kind of syncing up the time frame. So the 72 hours, I think I'm open to adjusting that to 10 days to be consistent with the current Board of Pharmacy form. I think the 30 days is reasonable time to really do some investigation. And again, just like we would do with the DEA, we could amend that report if later on more findings are discovered. So those are some of my initial thoughts, and then I'll turn it over to the rest of the board for your thoughts on the matter.
I actually just have a few questions. One is to Mr. Park, are you saying to adjust the 30 days to 10, or are you okay going to 30 to match this up? Which way were you thinking?
I think when I shared this proposed regulation with our directors, that was the feedback that I got, is that it's just confusing as to what it should be. So honestly, I don't have a preference either way. I just think it needs to align so that they have a clear time frame of when they're supposed to do what. Probably not 3 different timeframes.
Right.
Yes.
And then I guess to Ms. Long, is the wording in here, is this requiring us to report it? The cause back to the board within 30 days, or just determine a cause and that's our record?
It doesn't specify in the language, so it is the pharmacy must determine cause within 30 days. And if we go out and inspect the pharmacy, and we may look at those loss reports and the investigations, but it doesn't say that you have to report it to the board, the investigation that occurred after 30 days. But you do have to report to the board any loss within 10 days.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Weiss, sorry, Adam, you go first.
Sorry, I'm I would say that as one of the public comments stated, that there are times where you're not going to be able to figure out what happened. And so I think as long as the expectation is that determination, that sometimes can be unknown, just recognition of that. I'll just say, I'll repeat my comments from the last time we workshopped this item. I do have concerns about the ability, depending on your pharmacy system. I mean, we're lucky where I work that we do have an electronic perpetual inventory. That's not the case in all pharmacies. I've certainly worked in a community pharmacy setting where you're paper tracking C2s, and it is burdensome with time. And so I think that just the recognition that this is going to add workload, and it is going to be taking away other activities that the pharmacists are doing.
So Helen Park, for the record, thank you for those comments. And I agree that I do think it will cause Some more administrative work for the pharmacists. I do recognize that. But to me, then it sounds like we need more staffing in the pharmacies in order to keep the environment and workplace safe and in order to protect the public. So I agree, and I think that there is a solution for that. All right, any further comments?
Anna Carr for the record. I just wanted to echo the sentiment that I think something needs to be done because to Helen Park's previous point, I remember a case not too terribly long ago where 19,000 separate dosage units had been diverted. And it was from a location that had perpetual inventory. So I just think that there needs to be more oversight to protect the public because those 19,000 dosage units went somewhere. And it's a danger to the public at this point.
Yeah, Adam Porter, and just to be clear, I mean, I completely support section 1. I think that would help. It's certainly necessarily to have a pharmacist involved in checking in all of the orders so that there's not just full stock bottles walking out the pharmacy. The concern that I have is around perpetual inventory, 3s and 4s. I do think that there's alternative ways, like more frequent requirements of doing inventory of those drugs that could accomplish the same thing and not necessarily require a perpetual inventory.
Can I piggyback off of your comment, Adam? Jay Jacobo for the record. I totally think, this is an important focus for patient safety, but I would like to say that I've been on the board for 8 years. And in the cases where there were thousands of dosage units going into the community, a lot of times it was due to the pharmacist because who better to cover it up than a pharmacist? So just wanted to bring up that point. With significant loss, I still feel like we need to leave that professional judgment up to the pharmacist to dictate that one tablet loss is a significant loss and to take time away from that pharmacist to conduct clinical activities and to provide services to their community so they could track down one tablet that could have been, given to any patient. There's been times where obviously I'm counting 30 tablets and 31 is dispensed. Do you expect me to go back through all of my pharmacy records to find that one tablet? I just don't believe the juice is worth the squeeze in this scenario. There are also times in which we have to reconcile our inventory when we're getting deliveries made. I think that's another good opportunity in which we don't have to have a perpetual inventory for these drugs. And I just wanted to bring up a tragic story of my own. I was a victim of diversion. I say victim because as the gatekeeper for these medications, I take it very seriously. And I was a pharmacist at a smaller pharmacy. We were only doing, 200 prescriptions a day. So it wasn't a workload issue. But ironically, I found out that one of my technicians was diverting drugs right under my nose when I was completing my C2 audit. So what does that tell you? If I'm busy conducting audits, perpetual inventory for all these other drugs, that gives our technicians more opportunity to actually steal from right under our noses. And finally, the reason why I think DEA, we need to provide utmost deference to them is that, C2 drugs are the most highly abused. The risk is there and highest risk for diversion. To expand that out into C3s and C4s, I just think there's no additional benefit there. I think if we focus on maybe more of the high profile C3s and C4s, that would make sense to me, like alprazolam, benzos, things like that. But to have a blanket requirement just doesn't make sense. And then finally, to Adam's point, I think having more inventory requirements for those types of drugs could serve the same benefit without requiring a perpetual inventory. So currently we are required to complete a biennial inventory of controls in Nevada, consistent with DEA. Why not just make it annual? Because a lot of the chain community pharmacies are already doing that.
If we, for the record, just to follow up, I'm gonna probably go back a little bit, so sorry about that, but
Okay.
I just want to explain to you how it works. So the notices come in, they get reviewed by a staff member. We don't have the resources to look at them all too. So whatever you guys decide, you should be balancing that out. And then they're supposed to go to NDI, who's the state police. And they don't have the resources to do it. So we kind of compile these over time and look at like, are there big trends? But we don't have an analyst that dedicated to it. And so there's more data coming in than we can do anything about. But it doesn't mean don't get the data, but you should know what we're doing so that, because we don't get a pills lost and then we're running out to the pharmacy to find out where that pill went. I think Adam said it, but I just want to put it on the record. There are times where you don't know what happened, and I think this language should. I know in practice, I will address that. If somebody doesn't give a notice, I'm not going to say call them and say why didn't they give a notice. If we never get a notice or an investigation or why it happened, then that'd be something we would probably have a dialogue about. So I think that there are times where you cannot tell what happened because people are deceptive, and you've all experienced them. So I don't think the intent for staff is that there has to be a full investigation that comes with a conclusion. We do investigations that don't have conclusions, so we can't do that. And I do want to say two more things. I think the governor's directive, and I think for the public, aligning with federal law is a good thing, because if it's safe, that makes it easier for everybody, like Adam was already saying, and maybe Jade. So I think that when you can align in times and dates and that kind of stuff, I think that's good. But there's times where what's happening here and it might not be happening somewhere, federally or whatever. So that's why you're here, to weigh those things out. Jade did ask me to look at other states. I thought she was going to ask me on the record, but she didn't. But I was prepared already to look at other states and see how this compares to other states. So I have an obligation to tell you that I don't have a good system. I can't go to every state and say, well, what did they do or what's happening? But I did do a review. I know Jade did a review too. There's not any state that I saw that was doing a full perpetual inventory on 3s, 4s, and 5s. There are other states like California that have a targeted approach to the drugs. Just for me, that look kind of messy, because everybody has to remember what drugs you're supposed to be targeting and that kind of stuff. So I think that there's probably a global solution that will make it safer for the public that you guys will arrive on, but might not be what it is right this second. So those are the things that I'd have you weigh from my perspective. I don't know what the answers are, but they're for you to figure out.
Madam President, might I add something?
Sure.
This just came to mind, and it's based off of Dr. Porath's and the public comment made. And I didn't have a time to discuss this with Mr. Wiest, but it is a suggestion that I think may be helpful to 2B, not so much with the perpetual inventory component. So currently the law requires that pharmacies report any loss to the Board of Pharmacy within 10 days. And so that could be a loss of 1 tablet of a controlled substance. And maybe we need to amend that particular regulation as well, but perhaps we kind of align it all together and state that in 2B, if there is a loss, that the pharmacy must initiate an investigation within 72 hours. And if the loss was determined to be caused by theft or by theft or couldn't be determined, then maybe that be reported to the Board of Pharmacy rather than every loss be reported to the Board of Pharmacy, and that would be reported within 30 days after the investigation. That was just something that came to my mind to kind of align everything together. So that may be something the board would want to consider doing.
Great, thank you.
Now I thought Jade was going to ask me, so now I'm going to ask Jade. Is it common practice, or it may not be, is it common practice when new drugs come in that an inventory is done at that particular time so that there's again, if we can match the law, you have to regulate for the lowest common denominator, which is the problem. So you have people that are going to do the inventory, and that's great. But the other people that are not paying any attention to them, that you do see in front of you, and there's 30,000 pills missing. You need to, I think you need to set the standard so that they know that they have to raise it to what the minimum is. So I'll let you answer the question, because there might be some hope in the inventory just gets done when the product comes in, and then you don't have to maintain it, and then there's another check. So there's a more frequent check to those products, but I'm not sure that's the case or
Are you
not.
talking about when we receive inventory?
Yes, exactly.
Typically, yes.
Okay,
We receive a shipment, then we would reconcile at that point as well.
yeah. I just think more reconciliation is what's needed, not for me, but that, you know, you guys get to decide. But it sounds like you might be moving away from a perpetual inventory, so something that does it more often would probably serve a similar purpose.
I do appreciate Ms. Long's recommendation, though. I think that would, you know, align with helping to identify sources of diversion, especially in, you know, granting some of that individual independent thought judgment back to the pharmacist to determine what is necessarily a significant loss.
Yeah, if I could comment on that, and again, we'll probably back me, but I get a lot of calls of what significant loss is, okay? And I don't know what it is. It's you need to determine what that is. And maybe I'm not saying that, I'm just telling you the DEA system is not a perfect system because they struggle with that. And I think that if you're going to migrate off of this, we'll do another workshop about it, and then it'll give us some time to kind of take what you're telling us to do and put it into language. I don't really want to define significant loss, but it's not defined in federal they don't really define it federally. And it's fine leaving it to the operators, and it's fine leaving it to the pharmacists. And again, we're getting more losses than we can even address, which I said. So that doesn't mean I don't want to get them or I don't want to address them. It's resources. So I mean, the other states have, Jade was with me, so Georgia or whatever, they have the size of our board taking these losses and working them. So, you know, the other states have different resources than we have. So I think we can work out what Yen's talking about, if that's where you want to go. I'm somewhat on the fly concerned. I think that the path leads to a lot reported though, because if it was a loss or theft, which most times it is, or you don't know why it is, you have to report it. It's probably going to lead to a lot of somebody stole it, or I don't know how somebody stole it. So not sure that will decrease the burden for reporting, but we can work through those.
This is Helen Park. I am in favor of syncing up the time requirements because that does get a little bit confusing to remember, or that would make it easier to kind of sync everything together. I think it's important that we account for the medications more frequently than we certainly do now, because of the amount of loss that we have. I mean, I think perpetual inventory is the way to go personally. I can't imagine not doing that. And I hear of pharmacies that don't back count their controls. And how do you not reconcile your controls? We reconcile the cash register when we leave, and you don't reconcile your narcotics. And so it's just strange to me that we wouldn't do that. I do again believe that it would, it's a administrative burden, but perhaps then more staffing is needed. I'm willing to kind of consider, other frequencies, maybe 90 days, but biennial or even annual, I think is not enough. And then it's, if you're thinking it's the pharmacists that are doing the diversion, then they're less likely to report. And so there's a lot of things that I think we have to consider in terms of preventing that diversion from taking place. I think we're talking about a lot of changes to the language and maybe some changes to the time frame as well. So maybe this is something that we take back and reconsider at a future meeting.
I think that, I mean, you can always make a motion. So if somebody wants to make a motion and direct us to do something, I think that it sounds to me like there's going to be significant changes. And so I think that we're obligated to do another workshop. So I'm not sure I need motion, but I'll speak for Yen. I think you gotta go around again and tell us what you want to do, and then we'll try to fit it in, because I'm not sure I know that right this second. So if you can, if everybody can kind of give us their thoughts, that we can take those and do that. Alternatively, somebody can make a motion just to pass this, or somebody can make a motion to not do something completely different. But I think for me, I just need a little bit more direction, because I know where Adam and Jada stated what they wanted, and I think everybody wants to align with federal law, so I think we can try to do that. And it's going to be different than what we're doing now, but I think it's something that we can make better if we're thoughtful like you guys always are.
Make one more comment, Madam President.
And I also say, we'll be talking to the industry's called me on this, and Liz has called me, so we'll continue to work with the industry and see if we can't just get something that everybody can agree to.
Yeah, sorry, Adam Ford for the record. One thing that I would consider, and I think Jade kind of spoke to this, that I think the reality is that most pharmacies are reconciling their inventory much more often than the biennial requirement. I think that if there was some sort of an out for perpetual, so that you would need to maintain a perpetual inventory, or at a minimum do a reconciliation every 30 days. I mean, I think that is something that would be probably doable for every pharmacy.
I would be on board with that.
Yeah, if I could just give you a little bit more background for me, I did not look at every state, but I looked at the states. Like I have a sense that I know where to go look for things. The 2 years that we have is not, nobody's doing 2 years. Everybody's shorter than that. But I don't see anybody doing 30 days. The shortest I would see would be California, 90 days on some items. Just so that I'm giving you my knowledge that I know. But I'm not saying you can't do 30, but Jade asked me to investigate it, and I did.
I appreciate you taking your time to help me in this. I just want to make sure, you're aligned and consistent, but I still feel like 30 days is a little bit too frequent. Again, limited resources. I don't want to speak to the burden, but when we're deviating away from federal guidelines and also deviating away from just national guidelines, I feel like, again, if we are trying to prevent diversion, there are other ways in which we can accomplish this, and we're actually already doing it. If the ask is for us to investigate these sooner rather than later, then maybe we can speak to that. But just trying to dial in on the source and reporting on deviations through perpetual inventory and having to keep track of that, I just don't think that's aligned with the language as it currently sits. And then increasing the frequency again to 30 days is, I think it's a little ambitious.
I'll give other board members a chance to comment.
Shanice Taylor, for the record, I do also agree in regards to the consistency as far as the timeframes and reporting through 10 days. My thoughts were more so, I understand the burden in having a perpetual inventory of these controlled substances, but I was leaning not towards 30 days, Adam, but more so a quarterly inventory. So every 90 days or so is where I was leaning.
Okay, thank you. Right, Ms. Freitas?
I don't have anything additional than what's been said. I don't have a set point where I would feel comfortable either way with a determination of like a inventory or reconciliation.
All right. Dr. Carr?
I don't have any additional comment to add that the board hasn't already said. I would also be open to changing the timeline though for perpetual.
Yeah, and did you have any questions or anything for the board, or?
I think we have the direction. Now I hear 30 days versus 90 days, so I would like to have some clarity from the board as to which you would prefer, so that we can amend it appropriately for the next board meeting.
So I would be okay with 90, and that's probably the max for me.
Anna Carr, for the record, I think if we're worried about the burden on the workforce, I think 90 would need to be the appropriate way to go as well, in order to reserve that other time for other patient care activities.
So I say I appreciate the collaboration and the discussion, I think 90 days is a good compromise.
Very good. All right, then, in that case,
You don't need to make a motion. You go to the next item. I don't, I think that I think you can do one of two things. You might open it back up at the end just first. We didn't have a lot of public comments, so there might be some public comment on what your discussion is that you want to weigh, or they can reach me after the meeting, however you choose to do that. But that's,
okay, I mean, we
I think you
can
migrated greatly from what it was, so it's your choice.
certainly, always happy to hear from the public. So if there's any additional public comment on this item based on our board's discussion, we'll open up the floor for any public comment. Okay, all right.
Again, Liz McMiniman, for the record, I'll keep it brief. I thank the board for the robust discussion and understanding within the industry itself and your willingness to look at federal law. I think that's something that is very doable, but I do appreciate the board and board staff for listening when concerns are brought forward. And I appreciate the work that you're doing on this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you, board. Thank you, members of the public, for your discussion. We'll move on to our next agenda item. We'll go to agenda item 14B, which is our workshop item. That goes to Dr. Weist.
For the record, the language is on the board book. It's on page 3570. It's actually quite simple, as everyone knows. We had public comment at the last meeting identifying this as an issue. I've worked with that person in crafting this language. I will mention that you have a public comment from obviously somebody that's related to a patient, and then some late public comment from hims and hers. Most everybody else was, and I think that the two public comments I gave you late references is the Texas language, which is unfortunately 3 pages when mine was 2 sentences. But I did give you the Texas language in front of you. There's a copy for the public, a couple copies for the public out there. So if people are going to come up and testify, they want the Texas language, which we might hear today or might not. I at least gave you the Texas language. I certainly think that we can state it in a simpler manner. But basically, what the language says is that you have to maintain the items within the manufacturer and the USP. I've had some public comment that it should be one or the other. That's for you to weigh. And then if the patient requests or the guardian of the patient requests that one of these devices that go in, which cost, might look at it, and you could have fancy ones and not fancy ones under 50 cents or something when you're buying. If you're just like, if I wanted to go buy one at some online site, I could do that. I think the question is, nobody's arguing that it needs to be maintained. I think in the testimony that we heard the last time, it was that the particular pharmacies that she was dealing with, just blew her off and didn't take care of the problem. She said that, it came in the ice packs were warm and they didn't replace the drug. That's, quite problematic. Texas does have some language about that it must be replaced at the request of the patient. And I also want to say that, like, the bigger companies have spent a lot of money testing this stuff. So I don't think we're in a world where they're like not trying to ship it to stay hot. It's just things happen. And it really should be the pharmacist taking care of the patients at the end of it. And how do the patients know? They're concerned. Their life depends on the medicine and they think it got hot. So that's what you're trying to address. And the language is just a starting point. It was basically me talking to the person that said it and said, how would you like it to read? And then I did it in a very simple manner, but you guys can do whatever you want. And with that, I expect we'll have some public comment, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and open up the floor for public comment on this workshop item, and then we'll go to board questions and board discussion. If you have public comment, please come on forward.
There's several online too, and just so you know.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the board, Liz McMenamin for the record again. I just wanted to speak to the fact that really at this point in time, we've been assessing what it looks like. I know Las Vegas is hot, I understand. And I understand medications being shipped through the mail have a potential to have problems. So if there's some way that the industry can work with the board staff and the board to come up to some kind of way that can help. But I would state that within a community pharmacy, the requirement that they must install some type of temperature gauge. I like that it went to a patient's request, but I wanted to also make it clear that, or to ask the board if it's their assumption that the pharmacy itself would pay for this, or would this be something that the patient would have to include in the cost of their prescription, which we would not have a problem with if it was not a burden put on the pharmacy oftentimes. So that was the only comment I have. I'm assessing and getting more information from members as we speak. So I'll be willing to work with the board staff and the board on any of this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Right. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Danny Otteson from CVS Pharmacy again. We disagree that regulations are necessary in this area, but we are supportive and committed to the safe shipping and delivery of prescription medications to patients, not only in Nevada, but across the United States. For medications that require refrigerated or frozen storage, CVS already uses evidence-supported packaging to ensure the integrity of prescriptions while in transit to the patient. We have over 40 years of experience in safely shipping prescriptions through the mail and have shipped over 1 billion prescriptions safely to patients. We support the board's goal of protecting drug integrity during the shipment, but do have a couple of key concerns with the current language. First, as mentioned by Mr. Wiest in subsection A, the use of the word "and" in between manufacturer's package insert and USP standards does create some ambiguity. We would recommend changing this to read in accordance with written or practice standards of the manufacturer, the USP, nationally recognized accreditation entities, or similar standards. These sources are not always identical. USP typically does defer to manufacturer labeling when it exists. And I think requiring compliance with both could create unnecessary compliance risk. In addition, as mentioned, CVS has used our vast experience in shipping medications across the country. We have designed unique packaging systems for over 400 individual drugs. This was done in conjunction and consultation with drug manufacturers and specialty distribution companies. These systems were created using data, science, and vigorous testing protocols. The goal of the packaging systems is to duplicate the methods the drug manufacturers use to distribute their products to licensed pharmacies. Additionally, CVS does take into consideration the transit time and the weather along the route for the package to ensure it's packaged in a way that keeps the temperature according to recognized standards. So that does look different for some of our warmer climates like Nevada. Second, we feel the proposal is overly broad in applying temperature monitoring to all prescriptions, including room temperature products. So we do recommend changing the language to specify products that require refrigeration or frozen storage conditions. Many drugs remain stable within standard room temperature excursion ranges and don't require active monitoring. In addition, these products are typically shipped from the manufacturer to the wholesaler and then to the pharmacy without special temperature controls. So requiring them here would exceed the manufacturer's own standards. Other states have taken a more targeted approach, applying these enhanced controls only to drugs requiring refrigeration or freezing. So we feel this risk-based framework is more practical and clinically appropriate. So I think overall, just aligning with a risk-based model by clarifying manufacturer labeling as the primary standard, and then limiting monitoring and alert requirements just to refrigerated, frozen, or otherwise temperature-sensitive drugs would maintain patient safety while improving clarity, feasibility, and alignment with emerging state approaches. So thank you for your time. Happy to take any questions you have.
Great, thank you for your comments.
Dave Weiss for the record before you, because Danny brought it up. I did put USP, which I never thought I was gonna read, 10.679 is in the board book. It's in the board book that when it came out. And that is USP, good storage and shipping practices. So that's the USP chapter, which you have adopted by reference. And I guess we could enforce at this particular point if we got a complaint against it, but I did do that. It goes much beyond, like to Danny's point, it goes much beyond just the refrigerated and other things. And so I'm sure you reviewed that, but if you don't, before we do the next one, you have USP on that. I'll be quiet.
Right. Do we have individuals online?
We do.
Hi, good morning. It looks like his line is,
There we go.
There you go.
there you go, yes.
Thank you so much. Good morning, President Park, members of the board, Executive Director Weiss, staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. For the record, my name is Spencer Roach. I'm the Director of Government Affairs at Empower Pharmacy, which is a large compound pharmacy headquartered in Houston. I did submit a letter to Executive Director Weiss just yesterday. I'm assuming you probably haven't had time to parse through that yet. And I'm just going to summarize that here to give you some things to consider during your deliberations on this. We are opposed to the adoption of the rule. We are in compliance with industry standards set by USP for shipping and transporting our 72-hour cold pack process. It's tested, it's supported by data, it's scientific, it works, it will continue to work. We have not had problems with this in the past. And our main concern, which I pointed out in the letter, it seems to us that the only real economic way to do this is by the use of chemical indicators. And the research we have looked at, which I cited to in the comment letter that I sent over, indicates some issues with these devices. It can't be calibrated. They've been shown in many circumstances to have issues with accuracy, documentation standards. They routinely produce ambiguous readings. They have a high rate of these false excursions at point of handling that could raise apprehensions in the mind of the patient about the safety of their medications, which just simply isn't accurate. So we would urge you to reconsider and consider all of those things when you deliberate on this issue. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who wishes?
There's at least two more, we think, yeah.
Like we have Harmony Acker.
Yes, good morning. Good
Morning.
morning, Madam President and members of the board. My name is Harmony Acker. I'm a licensed Nevada pharmacist speaking today on behalf of Walgreens. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on this proposed amendment. We appreciate the board's continued focus on protecting medication integrity during shipment, and we support the requirement that prescriptions be shipped in accordance with manufacturer labeling or USP standards. Those expectations are appropriate, well-established, and already embedded in pharmacy practice. We do have concerns, however, with the proposed requirement to include patient-facing temperature monitoring devices upon request. While well-intentioned, this provision may create unintended patient safety concerns. USP 1079 recognizes that temperature excursions may occur during transit and that such excursions do not necessarily compromise product integrity. Many temperature trackers provide limited non-contextual alerts that do not account for duration, mean kinetic temperature, or product-specific stability data. As a result, patients may incorrectly conclude that their medication is unsafe, leading to delayed therapy, unnecessary waste, and increased follow-up burden for pharmacists. We respectfully suggest an alternative approach that maintains the board's patient safety intent while avoiding these risks. Rather than requiring temperature monitoring devices, pharmacies could be required to include clear information advising patients to contact the pharmacy if they have concerns about possible temperature exposure during shipment. This approach promotes patient engagement, keeps product integrity evaluations with the pharmacist, and aligns closely with USP standards and manufacturer guidance. In closing, we support the board's goal of ensuring safe delivery of medications and respectfully recommend either removing the patient-facing tracker requirement or replacing it with patient guidance that directs concerns back to the pharmacy for professional evaluation. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm open to any questions you may have.
Great, thank you for your comments.
We have one more.
Hello?
Hey.
Okay, just making sure I'm here. Hi. Good day, members of the board and president. I'm here today as a patient advocate to urge your support for the proposed amendment. I would like to start by noting that internet pharmacies have improved the quality of life of patients with complex medical conditions by facilitating medication administration in a home setting. For those patients who already have a difficult journey through life due to their diagnosis, on behalf of all of them, I would like to thank the pharmacies for doing so. Now, though, I would like you to think about how we handle food safety laws in this country. When perishable foods like milk or chicken transit across the United States, they are monitored throughout their journey to prevent foodborne illnesses. Federal and state laws don't leave food safety to guesswork or rely on the consumer to know if that food has been transported safely. Perishable medication should not be treated any different. No parent would ever feed their child a piece of chicken that sat unmonitored in a delivery truck, hoping it was probably fine. Instead, we have laws that assure us that the food we are eating and feeding our kids is safe. Patients and caregivers should not be placed in a situation where they determine whether or not a medication is safe to administer, especially when they're not qualified to do so. Under current Nevada law, this board strictly enforces temperature controls inside brick and mortar pharmacy facilities. You require functional refrigerators with alarms and thermometers because you know that temperature excursions chemically alter complex proteins. When a biologic denatures, it doesn't just stop working. It can trigger severe, life-threatening adverse immune reactions or anaphylaxis. But the moment that medicine leaves the internet pharmacy door, the legal cold chain breaks. Internet pharmacies rely on pre-qualified boxes tested in a lab. But when an unpreventable courier delay happens in the Nevada heat, those lab parameters fail. The gel packs melt, and suddenly the burden of proof falls entirely on a caregiver or patient to guess if the medication is safe. Everyone considering this proposal's top priority should be patient safety, and patients are not qualified to determine if these meds are safe, so that burden must fall on the pharmacy. You may hear arguments today that adding temperature indicators is too logistically difficult or expensive for high-volume pharmacies, but we're not asking for a heavy-handed mandate. We're supporting the proposal for a balanced, patient-led opt-in model. Indicators would be dropped in the box upon request of the patient or caregiver. If a pharmacy can customize a shipment for the patient's address, insurance, copay, and medication administration supplies, they can quickly paste a safety sticker into a box with the medication. As proven by the Texas Board of Pharmacy's extensive study and final rule 291.12 on the same issue, this amendment protects public health without disrupting commercial workflows or creating a financial burden to the pharmacy. If Nevada law protects a biologic until it hits the pharmacy counter, those same laws should continue to protect it until it reaches the patient doorstep. I respectfully ask the board to advance this amendment to rulemaking. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And speaker, are you open to identifying yourself?
Just speak for the record right now before you do that. And this is a informal. If it were a hearing, it's mandated that you do, but this is informal at this particular point.
I'd rather not identify myself.
Great. Thank you for your comments. All right, do we have anyone else who wishes to make a public comment?
Not seeing anyone else, Madam President? Nobody else in the public?
So we'll close the period for public comment on this item, and we'll turn it over to board for discussion.
So for the record, I am in support of the regulation, but just not currently as it's drafted. I think we need to open up the rule to include other modalities in which pharmacies are already using to help track these products that are being shipped to the patients in Nevada. I live here, I know it's very hot. So I was a former pharmacy supervisor for CVS Specialty. So there were a lot of medications which were shipped through cold chain. They had a very, very robust system. They actually spent millions of dollars for this company out in Florida, and they actually conducted time study tests. And the algorithms were really quite impressive. They would keep track of the temperatures in all 50 states and then adjusted it accordingly, depending on the temperature within that state. and the time it would take in order to ship there. So I think if we include some kind of reference to scientifically backed studies that support as an alternative for these patients, and not just mandating the device, I think would be helpful.
Jade, how does that how does that work to the patient? Like, how do they know, how does that work in practice that the patient, like a pharmacy would say, we've spent millions to do this and we're not required to put the device in. How does that get communicated to how does that work for the patient?
So for the back end for the patient, we'd have whatever necessary gel packs and ice packs for the patient. They would receive it. They're told to immediately, unpackage it, examine it. And if they had any questions, we actually had a team of pharmacists, clinically trained pharmacists, that would assist them if they had any questions or concerns. And we had a whole reshipment process as well, if there were any concerns.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm just saying in practice, like, does the board then have to go validate the studies, or I'm just not, because I think people do the studies. It's just not the company, whoever you were just referencing to. How do the patients know that you're not going to get the device because the study's been completed?
I mean, again, if the patient has any kind of concern about the product or its stability, if there were an excursion, if the patient actually received a product they detected was warm, we had a whole team of pharmacists that would counsel them through it to, see whatever issues or concerns they had. And then if the pharmacist determined that there was a likelihood of an excursion that might affect the stability of the product, then we would do a reshipment at no cost to the patient.
Yeah, I'm not understanding how we enforce it, but I'll think about that later. I will tell you that the testimony you had before was a patient that had that happen and then couldn't get it replaced. And again, her testimony, not validated by me, was they got fired from the pharmacy. So I think that, again, regulating to the lowest is a problem for us, obviously.
This is Helen Park. So I think I think something needs to be done for sure, because I know that the temperatures get so hot in our state that I have patients telling me that they received their mail order drug and it's hot to the touch. So I think especially with our patients' medications, patients, especially in the case of the prior member of the public who said that, the gel packs were warm, that is concerning. And that's concerning that she expressed that to the pharmacy and wasn't able to get a replacement product. And then I guess I don't understand how you can say it's reasonable excursion, non-reasonable excursion, if you don't have a measuring device. And so that's why maybe along those lines, how do you know that? Otherwise, it seems so subjective. And then if we're not listening to the patient's assessment of it, then that's concerning, because they're the ones receiving the final product of a medication that, is life-saving for them or their loved ones. So I am open to, further discussion. I just don't see how you don't have a monitoring device, to make that determination. I think the language is, adjusted in a way where it's now at the request of the patient or the legal guardian, and that really kind of pares it back. So I think that makes it easier, I think, for the industry. But I don't see how you do that without a temperature monitor.
Well, and I think the other issue, and I think it's a good discussion, is some excursions matter and other excursions don't matter. And that really should be left to the pharmacist. So I didn't write this in a way, I think we had some public comment, forcing a pharmacy to replace the product. And I think good pharmacies will replace it when they're supposed to, but I didn't want to write it in a way that we have a lot of product wastage when it doesn't really, when the pharmacist knows that it didn't do an excursion. And like the pharmacist and the patients need to trust each other, and sometimes that doesn't work, and then there has to be a different way. But then you got insurance involved, and you can only go to this pharmacy, and that's what Yen and I see on like a routine basis is like these things can't be solved because the world is not given a pathway. So I was trying to write it in a way that wasn't like really mandating, other than if a patient wanted it, they could get it. So I understand that the industry not wanting it. I think you had some testimony that if the patient's willing to pay for it, we probably go down that path if you want, or share payment of it or something so that it doesn't get abused or however. But the way the language is written, they would be mandated to put it in. There wouldn't be a charge expected for the patient, but you could write the language that way. If the patients want it, then they can get it.
I guess my other clarifying question, when we say a temperature monitoring device, you're saying it has to monitor it through the entire shipment?
Yeah, I mean, there's, again, you receive testimony that they can be inaccurate, and I think that's true. So, I mean, you would be naive to think that that's not the case. But they're basically, the most simplest of devices in there, and if it goes above a certain temperature, it's always going to be red. It's no longer going to be blue. There are much more sophisticated devices, and I think there's drugs that are being done that, when we were doing the COVID vaccine that was frozen, we had, the whole device monitored the whole thing. So I think there's multiple ways to do it. I wasn't looking personally to mandate what had to happen. I was just trying to reach a very minimal standard so that the patients felt like when they got the product, it was there. Even if that excursion goes out, becomes positive for excursion, doesn't mean the product needs to be replaced. That's a discussion between the patient and the pharmacist.
I guess my other question is would we be able to include it as temperature tags or the struts?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. There, again, you can Google them yourself, or I'm not advocating Google or anything else, but you can look for yourself. They're not very expensive, but then again, when you're dealing with a company that might do millions of prescriptions, that's expensive then, right? So, but these are decisions for you to make. I'm just here to provide you the background information I've spent looking at it.
Adam Portberg. I guess to some of this conversation around the pharmacy replacing the product, I do like the language in the Hims and Hers letter as far as item B, where it says that the pharmacist determines the prescription drug was compromised during delivery, the pharmacy shall promptly replace the drug. It's vague.
I think it's already required by law, but I mean, we can write that down. But we would have a problem with the pharmacist that said it wasn't good and they told them to take it. So
just a couple other comments. So we do have a specialty pharmacy as part of our health system. And the other issue that we have in Northern Nevada is the opposite temperature spectrum, where we have drugs that freeze in the wintertime. So we have seasonal pack outs that we do, and we test those, and we have a certain time period that they're tested to say we know that pack out is good for 72 hours or whatever the case may be. And so I think that goes back to kind of what Jade was saying as far as how do you determine that? I mean, you basically have to ship out a box to somewhere in the community and determine how long it's good for. So you do the testing with the temperature tags, and then you rely on that unless you change your pack outs. And that's a requirement of specialty pharmacy accreditation that you do those things. I think the way that this is written, where it's simply at the request of a patient, does minimize the burden to pharmacies. So I'm open to it. I do think that I appreciate some of the public comment around cleaning up subsection A, just around the manufacturer package insert and USP. Maybe we can do a little tweak to that language there. But I'm generally supportive. I think that it could be accomplished in another way too, if we wanted to move towards more like what the text language is, but more concise too. I'm supportive either way.
I'll talk about that. I think I think Danny said it, like, I don't think there's any issue around that. I get a little squirmish when we're using, some accreditation, because I don't know what the accreditation is, and I've seen good accreditation places. I would probably limit it to the package insert or USP. I think honestly, just the package insert's enough. I included USP because they have a whole section on it and you've already adopted that. So that's why I put it in there. But I think if you change it to an or, I don't think the patients are at any greater risk of anything. So I mean, I think, and again, they should have judgment. They're doing a lot of good work. The pharmacists are. They should have judgment. We're not trying to take the judgment away. We're trying to do the minimum standard. That's why I say, like, an auto replacement, I think would be worse than doing the law, because it's just going to waste a lot of drugs. So, and they do need, if they find it's not a good product, they need to replace it already. I don't know if we have to write that in the law.
Any other comments, board members?
I can say one more thing in practice. I can't, we get them. So we have these arguments. There's insurance components of patients and not upset. You don't see a lot of complaints on them, because really, did the people do anything wrong is the question. And it's a difference in how I feel and that kind of stuff. Something like this does give me the ability to say, did they ship it with it? And does it have it in there? That it's meant to create a dialogue and give the patients a little bit of empowerment in the dialogue, saying, it's not my feeling that this didn't get delivered correctly. I have this that says it. But to the point of, I think it was the gentleman from where Empower, they're not accurate too. So I mean, they have to talk about that. And if the ice packs were still frozen, but the thing is said it's not, then did it get hot and get refrozen? I mean, there just has to be a dialogue. And we shouldn't be like going into that.
Right, any other comments? I think I'll just add a couple other things. I do think like, I appreciate all the public comment on this item. So I think that sometimes it can cause false alarms, and so we don't want it to be where like Dave, you had mentioned earlier that some excursions matter and some don't, and I agree that there's a certain kind of there's some space in there where it's compromises the drug or it doesn't compromise the drug. And to some of the public comment that, we don't want it to concern the patient when it's not necessarily of concern. And then at the same time too, for the public comment in regards to, having some recourse in terms of when their product is, clearly out of temperature, I do want to enable that patient to get proper replacement, proper care. And so we live in a state that has extreme temperatures. And so I think I think we're in consensus as a board that something needs, we're supportive of the language. And then maybe, as discussed today, with some of the minor adjustments, we can move it forward.
I think just for the patients that have complained about this, and we have currently one. From the board staff perspective, I have offered to meet the package when it comes, just so you know what we're doing about it. So we will send somebody to the place when it lands, and we'll be there to take a look at it, and we'll have the proper tools to see what the temperature is when it shows up. So I'll do that as long as I can do it for everybody, and if people are listening, I'll try to address it for you. But I have made that offer. I don't think that that's me saying don't do the law. I mean, I don't have any choice, so I take it seriously like you do, and I just want to let you know that if somebody had a concern, we're not going to say there's nothing we can do about it. We will address it the best that we can. So I've offered that to the person that's made the testimony.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Dave.
I really like the language that was suggested by Hims and Hers. I think it gives a little bit of clarity as to what can be included, including the temperature tags and everything without, taking that power away from the patient so they can feel empowered that they're having the ability to communicate with the pharmacist as well, especially under subsection C. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to review the language, but I think that helps to serve the purpose behind the regulation that's proposed without taking anything away from it. And of course, subsection D, I know Dave already said, of course, if there is an issue with it, we would be required to.
Put it on the record. I'll put it in there. The one thing I won't put is drones. It doesn't matter how it's delivered. It still needs to follow the law.
I think it provides practical solutions to what we're trying to solve for.
Denise Taylor, for the record, I do also agree, Jade, with the language of hims and hers. Although I feel like subsection B, it should be stated as well, just in regards to the scenarios. I'm kind of torn because it does require trust, right, for the patient and the pharmacist. Where I'm torn in between is having the requirement of the temperature tags in every single package, but having the patient make that request, great. Whether the patient should pay for that or not, I can benefit of sharing that workload because then it won't be an abuse of that request. And the burden for companies who aren't as robust as a CVS, for example, to cover those costs. As far as the pharmacy being able to provide a method which the patient or the agent can notify if there is an irregularity, I agree with that in subsection C of this hims and hers proposal, the timeliness of delivery, the condition upon receipt and the failure to receive the proper prescription medication. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think the and or with USP, yes, I agree. It should say or in there, but like you stated, Dave, I don't know if that really is going to make a major difference in us following this proposal. I think I'm leaning more towards the side of having it upon request, but then also keeping that verbiage in there of using temperature tags. Just giving the option of having gel packs, a combination if necessary, and then leaving it at the discretion of the pharmacist upon conversation with the patient if the drug needs to be replaced, or just, educating the patient if the medication is still appropriate for use.
I think in practice subsection C is kind of redundant because it's kind of required anyway.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
counseling of patients, but I think having the regulations explicitly stated provides some comfort for me that we're protecting the patients and giving them that option.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the patient reading it. Like you said, it's redundant for us, but for the patient having that available to read it and having that reassurance, I think it's necessary to include.
Okay, any other comments, board members?
Adam, for the record, I would just say if we were to adopt the language suggested by his and hers, it doesn't require that a pharmacy put in a temperature tag at the request of the patient. So I think if we still want that piece of it, that would need to be added.
Yeah, I was more so thinking a combination of both from what
Yeah.
we have in front of us here in subsection B at the request of the patient or legal guardian in conjunction with some of the language in subsection B of hims and hers.
Yeah.
So we're saying don't strike the beginning of B. And I guess it would be a new subsection C with the pharmacy shall notify the patient or their agent when the prescription ships. Yes. The following would be the D, and are we striking the D completely? I mean, I think it's great to have it mandated to replace it instead of like a, ongoing back and forth with the pharmacist,
I would leave it.
Yeah.
Great.
I think I haven't, I do think I have enough. I just think back to Adam's point, and I'm trying to figure out who's saying what. You just gotta tell me, do you want it mandated that they could, because we could put the other things in. I honestly think that's already the industry standard for most parts, but again, to my own point of, there might be somebody that's not sophisticated and they need to tell the patient that it's being shipped. But again, I think that's an industry standard that for the people that are doing it full time, that they're letting them know it's coming. But I can beef up my 2 sentences and beef that up a little bit to give you some more comfort. But it just comes down to, do you want to mandate that the patient can ask for it? Do you want to mandate that people can ask for it a certain time of the year? Do you want to mandate that they have to split the cost? Do you want to mandate that the patient has to, it's a pass through? We're saying that if the patient mandates it, then the pharmacy can, explain that to the patient, and then they can make a determination financial if they want to do it. I just need a little bit more direction on the mandate of the device, or it may be a strip. We call it a device.
I'm comfortable with leaving it as patient request.
I agree. I would like the patient request to remain in the language.
Anna Carr, for the record, I agree.
So I have enough to move forward, and we'll bring it back to workshop, and I'll do what you're saying. And I'll talk to the industry in the meantime. Whoever else calls me. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, board and members of the public, for that discussion. Next, we'll move to our public hearing item 15A, and I will turn that one over to Dr. Zarley.
Good morning, President Park and members of the board. This is Darla Zarley for the record. This proposed regulation can be found on page 3587 of your board book, which is a regulation to schedule N-pyroladino metonidazine and N-pyroladino protonidazine in Schedule 1. This was previously presented and approved by you at the March 2026 board meeting, which is LCD file R038-26. Benzimidazole opioids, commonly referred to as nitazines, emerged on the recreational drug market in 2019. This class of substances shares a similar pharmacological profile with fentanyl, morphine, and other mu opioid receptor agonists. In 2023, these emerged on the illicit opioid drug market. These abuse of these substances have been associated with adverse events and toxicology cases in the United States. These substances have no currently accepted medical use in treatment in the United States. Effective February 11th, 2026, the DEA permanently placed these in Schedule 1. To prevent harm to the public in Nevada, we are bringing this public hearing item forward for your approval to add these substances in Schedule 1 in Nevada.
Great, thank you, Dr. Zarley. All right, we'll open up the floor for any public comment on this public hearing item. If we have anyone in the room or online who wishes to make a public comment, please come forward or raise your hand on Zoom or let us know through the chat function. Okay, I don't see anyone coming up for public comment. Do we have anyone online?
Anybody online, Madam President?
So we'll close the period for public comment on this hearing item, and I'll turn it over to the board for discussion. This one seems very straightforward to me. I would be in support of approving this public hearing or adopting the language or the amendments on this.
Madam President, Jacobo, I would move that we adopt LCD file number R038-26.
Crystal Freitas, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Jacobo, a second by Ms. Freitas. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, we will take a quick break and we'll be back momentarily. All right, we're going to continue with our Board of Pharmacy agenda. We're going to go to item 13C next, and that is for Samantha Turcotte. So if we have Samantha Turcotte in the room or online, if you could please come forward or raise your hand.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. Could you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, Samantha Turcotte.
Okay. All right, I'm going to swear you in. If you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, I will turn it over to Dr. Kuykendall.
Thank you, Madam President. One Kuykendall for the record, we have a new application for an APRN for prescribing dangerous drugs only for Samantha Turcotte. The agenda item is 13C and begins on page 3553 in the board book. The practice information you listed on the application is for Aesthetic Haven Health and Beauty in Rhode Island. Why do you want to obtain your prescribing license for dangerous drugs in Nevada?
So I'm actually looking for non-controlled substances. Is that, do you guys still group that together?
No, dangerous drugs are the non-controlled medications, and then we have the controlled substance separate, but we did note that you're only wanting to apply for a license for non-controlled.
Right, non-controlled. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Yes, absolutely. So I currently provide compliant, like HIPAA compliant telehealth through an online medical facility to be able to, be able to evaluate patients, when they're unable to get into either their primary care or their behavioral health providers. So just trying to give them some more access to care.
And then why Nevada?
So there's been, I've been getting emails just in regards to some shortages in regards to prescribing for either like mental health or primary care. So I'm just looking to expand into other states as well. I'm licensed in quite a few.
Can't hear you, Billy.
Gotcha. And then what type of services will you be providing to Nevada patients if you do get your license?
So it will be mostly urgent care, primary care, or behavioral health.
And then what type of medications are you planning to prescribe?
It could be, in regards to primary care, it could be hypertension medications, diabetes. In regards to mental health, could be, SSRIs, SNRIs. So really just dependent on the specific medications that they need.
And then in 2024, there was an investigation in Rhode Island at Thunder Mist Health Center. Can you clarify what this was about?
Yeah, absolutely. So a complaint was submitted to the Rhode Island Department of Health. The matter was reviewed and closed without findings against me. There was no disciplinary actions, restrictions, or any like sanctions resulted from the review at all.
Okay. And then in one of the reports I read, it stated that you had one of your telehealth patients meet you at Thunder Mist. So you can provide that patient with weight loss medications in the parking lot. Were you dispensing the medication to the patient?
Well, before you, did that occur?
No, that did not occur.
Okay, all right.
All right, no further questions. Thank you so much.
This is Helen Park. Can you tell us what happened? If that did not occur, can you provide some other context in terms of that situation or what actually occurred?
I have no idea because that didn't occur. So I'm not really sure how to even clarify that. I believe from what I was told that the patient walked in and had asked for me, but they were a Thunder Mist patient, so I'm not really sure where that came from.
And to be clear on the record, she's stating that there was no action, and we don't have records that there was action. It just was part of the background check, and she's disclosing that to you, just so you're aware of it. But no final finding was put upon her.
Okay, and it's your testimony today that it did not happen, so it's that did not occur, correct? Okay, thank you.
Madam President, this is Yen Long. May I ask a couple of questions of Ms. Turcott?
Certainly.
Thank you. Yen Long for the record. Ms. Turcott, in your application, and this may have been stated and I may have missed it. It looks like your practice site is Aesthetic Haven Health and Beauty. Do you own that practice?
I do.
Okay. And you mentioned that you are seeking to provide, you know, yeah, I guess different types of care to patients. So is it aside from health and beauty, you'll be providing other primary care services?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
Just based on the name of your practice, I was just
Yeah.
wondering if you stated that you're providing other services other than health and beauty. Is that correct?
Not for the Nevada patients, but yes, I do in Rhode Island.
Okay, so for Nevada patient, it will be strictly health and beauty types of services.
Yeah, so it would just be telehealth, urgent care, primary care type prescribing, that's all.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be
Not
aesthetic.
aesthetic stuff, not aesthetic stuff.
Non-aesthetics, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's-
So for Nevada patients, it won't be aesthetic
Correct.
types of services. Okay. I just wanted to get
We're,
clarity.
we're super sensitive to aesthetics, just so you know.
No problem. I know it differs in every state. I understand.
Yeah, and it's just because of your name of your practice. I just want clarity as to what services you will be providing. And will you be accepting insurance from Nevada patients when you provide these services?
Usually like through this telehealth platform, it would be non-insurance, so patients that don't have coverage. So it's a low-cost way for patients to still have access to care without insurance.
And how would a patient in Nevada find you as a practitioner?
Yeah, so I'm part of a platform, it's called Sesame. And they're basically just a third party. You get credentialed with them based on the state, and then by patient reviews or I guess the services that you are doing for them. So it could be either primary, it could be behavioral health. They'll be able to search you from the search bar, and then they'll be able to pick a provider is like the easiest way to explain it.
Okay, so like your provider part of Sesame, and that's like a website that a patient can go to if they're searching for a primary care provider or okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. Those are all the questions I have for Ms. Turcott. I'll turn over to the board again.
Thank you. That helped a lot with the, it was confusing about the name of your current practice. And then when you talked about you wanted to prescribe SSRIs, I was like, wait, what are you, where is this going? So appreciate
No,
the
totally fine.
clarification. All right. Any further questions for Ms. Turcott?
Have any questions, Madam President, I would move that we go ahead and approve the application for APRN prescriptive authority for Ms. Samantha Turco.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Jacobo, second by Mr. Porath. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. All right, we're going to continue on with agenda item 7A for AA Medical. We have representatives here or online. Please come forward.
One more chair, please.
Everyone. All right, so if we can start by having each of you, and we'll start on this end and we'll go state your full name and perhaps your title for the record.
Hello, Madam.
Oh, you turned it off.
Turn it off.
There you go.
Hello, Madam President and Board. For the record, my name is Hyman Johnson. I'm the administrator.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hey, Madam President and the board, my name is Tanya Takis. I'm the Director of Sales.
Thank you.
Good morning to the board. Billy Newt, Director of Operations for AA Medical.
just a moment to acknowledge our very longstanding relationship with the Nevada Board of Pharmacy for more than 40 years. So we just wanted to say how much we appreciate the support and the oversight all these years. And I do believe we have a few members of our credentialing team on remote.
Oh, more, okay.
Just to let you know.
Great, thank
There were
you.
two more callers, so we're putting them in.
Okay, we'll add them in the end. We'll continue on, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. I'm Mary McBurr, and I'm the Regional Vice President for Adapt Health for the Mountain West Division.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President and members of the board. I'm Kelly Orr. I'm our VP of Centralized Intake for Adapt Health.
Excellent. And then we have some individuals online. Is it two individuals? Two.
Yes, yeah, two. Good morning. This is Diane Siegel. I'm the Director for Licensing and Credentialing for AA Medical.
Great, thank you.
Good morning. This is Natasha Amster, Lead Licensing and Governmental Credentialing Specialist for AA Medical as well.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to swear you all in at the same time. I just need a verbal affirmation from each of you. So if you could join me in raising your right hand, including those online. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
we did it. Okay, great job, everyone. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Young.
Thank you, Madam President. This is Skelly Young with the board. Agenda item 7A starts on page 2976 of the board book. This is an application for a new medical products provider. It will be a Nevada facility located in Las Vegas, I believe located in Sunrise Hospital, and it will serve patients in hospitals and clinics. Hyman Goethio, he will be the MDEG. So I do have questions for you. I other have general questions about the business, and anyone can just hop in and answer if you guys know. I'd first like to ask, how is Adapt Health related to AA Medical? Is it the same? The same.
It is the same company. Adapt Health owns AA Medical. AA Medical is an Adapt Health company.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Can you guys explain the business model with being, you guys will be serving ambulatory aids within Sunrise? How does that look like with, as far as the products and serving the patients?
Yes, I'll be working at Sunrise Hospital, mainly with discharge patients, providing either DME or respiratory equipment.
Oh, also respiratory.
Correct.
Can you talk about any of the other products we'll be providing to outside of the respiratory devices?
It's just those two, is DME and respiratory.
Okay, I don't think on your application you guys say respiratory, so we can amend that. Can you kind of talk about your experience with respiratory equipment?
Yes, I've been working there for the past about 2 years now, working with providing both mainly oxygen tanks, concentrators to patients.
And you're working right with patients as well, servicing them?
Correct, yes.
It does say on the application that it says the closet will be accessed 24/7. Can you talk about what that looks like if you are not on site?
Correct, yes. So we leave both DME and respiratory equipment in the closet for case managers to pull after hours if they need equipment at that point.
So who's going to be servicing when you're not there? Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, so the case managers have been.
Case managers, okay.
Correct, yes, yes.
And they have experience as well. How many case managers do you guys have?
This is within Sunrise Hospital. I'm not sure offhand. I would say about 20 or 30.
Can anyone else speak on how that case facility works?
So the facility agreement that we actually have with the hospital arranges for somebody with a clinical capacity to do the instruct with the patient, and we facilitate having the equipment on site. So when we do not have an MET present, it is a clinical person within the facility that is delivering and educating the patient.
Okay. And as far as the discharging the patients, will you ever be a time that you'll go to their house?
Yes.
Can you explain how that would work?
Yeah, we would always follow up with the patient. So in the event that, I'll give you a respiratory example. So if Theo delivers a tank to a patient to go home for discharge, that discharge allows them, a couple of hours of oxygen, depending on their liter flow. And then we will follow up and have a team go out and actually do the home oxygen concentrator setup and instruction to the patient in their home. And then we also service those patients and follow them 24/7, 365 days a year.
Great, thank you. I don't have any issues with this. I will say we should amend the application to reflect. Are there gonna be any other devices? Because this only says ambulatory aids right now in the application. So is it just gonna be that and respiratory equipment?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I just will make that.
Question for board staff. So typically, will we need to have a respiratory therapist on staff?
We do staff respiratory therapists. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for confirming.
I'm gonna turn it over just momentarily to Dr. Taylor.
And just for the record, Dr. Taylor speaking, I am going to recuse myself from participating on this agenda item just due to conflict of interest with my employment at Sunrise.
Okay, so we'll recuse, we noted that for the record, thank you. And then if there are any issues and a patient calls, what is your response time or how does that work?
So it really depends on the piece of equipment that the patient has. So oxygen equipment, and this is outside of the Sunrise facility. We also have, ventilator equipment within our organization. So it's prioritized by the need, and then the appropriate clinical staff would assist the patient, or an appropriate medical equipment technician would go into the home and service that patient. So again, we staff folks on call after hours, 24/7. It's a phone call into our office. It's answered by a live person, and then we determine, what's the next steps and most appropriate thing to do to handle that patient. If it's a non-emergent need, it may be something that's addressed the following business day, but it's really assessed by our on-call teams.
And then as mentioned, you have, if needed, a respiratory therapist would go out and do the servicing, or the qualified person, depending on the nature of the call.
That's correct.
Okay, great. All right, any further questions?
I have a question on the application. Right now, I believe the person that they've named is Theo as the therapist, but they'll probably need to put in the actual name of somebody when you do make the amendment. Is that how you guys read the?
Out of order, I think he can be the administrator as long as they have a respiratory therapist. So.
Right, but I do believe the application, it does say under respiratory that they need to have a name and telephone number in the case of emergency out there.
You show us what page you're looking
So
at.
I'm on 2976.
Look.
I was out, so might help you. Can you just state your concern again and give the board a minute?
Application only has ambulatory aids, but they also are going to be providing respiratory equipment.
Okay.
And Theo, who's here, he's the MDEC administrator, is the name as the respiratory therapist.
Are you a respiratory therapist?
No, I'm not.
You have a respiratory therapist that you contract or have on staff?
We staff respiratory therapists.
Okay, do you know the name of that person now or no? Or are you gonna work on that?
We have several in the Las Vegas area,
Okay,
two in town,
okay.
in Las Vegas where Sunrise Hospital
Can
is.
you just put their name on the record and then do you know the name?
Mish Anderson is one of them and Anthony Gale is the other.
And then when you provide care to patients, if it involves a respiratory item or something, they know they're given the name of the person and how to get a hold of them, maybe through a service or something like that.
But yes, absolutely.
Is that okay with you, Skylar, or?
Yeah, thank you.
And Madam President, I have a couple of questions if you don't mind me asking.
Or certainly.
Perfect, thank you. Young Long for the record. And I didn't mean to interfere, Skylar. Did you finish your questions?
Yeah, I'm done, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. On your application on page 2976, the first page, it indicates that you guys, I know you'll be servicing patients at the hospital, but you also mark that you will be servicing the hospital and the clinics. Will you be like wholesaling products to the hospital and clinic, or will you be providing ambulatory aids and respiratory equipment based on a prescription.
It really depends on the circumstances, the situation where we would be providing it to a facility. If it's something that they're purchasing within the facility, that would be something that's in our contract with them. If it's something that we are providing to a patient at the request of the facility and they're paying, then at that point, we would require a prescription.
Okay. And so the reason why I brought that up is you filled out the medical products provider application. So if you will be providing equipment to the hospital through wholesaling, you will also need to submit the wholesale application, which is a separate application. So that doesn't prohibit the board from approving this application and you guys moving forward with providing equipment based off a prescription. But if you're wholesaling, you have to submit a wholesale application in addition to this application.
Or do you already have one? That's you may already have one, which you might not. Well,
We
wholesale.
don't particularly sell it to the
We don't sell
hospital
it to the
itself.
hospital.
It goes to a patient and then the hospital has a fund that pays for that piece of equipment if a patient were unable to afford it.
Yeah, I think that we can, I think that what you should do is, I mean, again, there's a strict definition of wholesaling. It's on the license and it's who supplies medication. And it's basically to not the actual patient. And money has a role in it. So I think what Jens pointed out is it sounds like it may be wholesaling or it may not. Yesterday, we had a long discussion about what wholesaling was or not. So well, I think after this meeting, we'll just talk to you. I'm sure you'll get properly licensed or you won't do that activity if you need a license for it. So I think what Jen was just saying is you marked no, but then you kind of said you would. So we can address that outside the meeting or you can address it today, however you choose to do it.
And then my second question is, do you guys plan to open other closets or this type of facility in other hospitals, or is this the first hospital?
This is our first hospital and yes, we plan to expand.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Greg may have questions about the closet, but like we have a model for the closet, so we'll talk to you about that afterwards too, how that works. Because I think this is it's a practice that was identified by the board. I think when Greg started was his first day, right around that time, and then we did promulgate rules that allowed it under certain circumstances. So we'll get you those rules and make sure that you're following those rules. Thanks, Jen, for your questions, and Skylar too.
All right, board members, any additional questions?
No questions. Madam President, I was just gonna, sorry, Adam, for the record, I was just gonna say that I'm familiar with this model. We have.
You're the closet guy, yeah.
Appreciate the fact that you guys are coming to get your closet license. I would move that we approve a new MDEG application for AA Medical.
Sending them updating to, sorry.
Pending the updates of the application.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Porath, a second by Mr. Kobo. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
you.
Okay, next, we're going to move to agenda item 7B for Progressive Recovery. If we have representatives here or online for Progressive Recovery, if you could please come forward or raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, all right. All right, welcome. If I could have you both state your full name and titles for the record.
Good morning, everyone. There we go. Is this on?
Do a little closer, maybe.
There
we go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, board, for having us. My name is Chaz Harris. I'm the CEO of Progressive Recovery.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Cox. I do personal injury for Progressive Recovery. I'm the liaison for personal injury.
Okay, Mr. Cox, I think I have you as the MDEG administrator. Is that correct? Okay. All right, I'm going to swear you both in. If you could join me raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you. Again, I'll turn it to Ms. Young.
Thank you, Madam President. This is Skelly on the board. Agenda item 7B starts on page 2997 of the board books. This is an application for a new medical products provider. It will be a Nevada facility located in Las Vegas and serve patients by prescriptions. My first question is what specific products you guys will be providing? You do mark others on your application.
We're going to be providing pain relief and healing products. We are addressing the abuse of post-operative and chronic pain, opiates, and narcotics by patients. So our goal is to provide one, a light therapy device that heals pain at a cellular level. Two, a portable ultrasound device, again, heals pain at a cellular level. Both of these devices rebuild soft tissue by infusing blood flow directly to the specific area of the body that's requiring treatment. We also are providing cold compression therapy products.
It looks like that you also own a Progressive Recovery in Florida. Can you explain your current duties and day-to-day at that facility?
Absolutely. So I started Progressive Recovery in Florida in 2022. That's currently where I reside. Our day-to-day activities, they stem from, we receive scripts from physicians. We fill those scripts with a dedicated service tech. The service tech goes to the patient's home, delivers the product, fits the patient for the product, explains them how to use it, and monitors the product compliance. From there, we report any findings that are imperative for the physician and the healthcare facility, report those back. And we also report any compliance issues that our patient may be having.
Do you plan on having the same business model here in Las Vegas?
Yes, we do.
As far as Mr. Cox, can you kind of give us a background on your experience working with these devices?
Well, I've been working for mostly law firms in Las Vegas for about 20 years now in the personal injury business. And, we come across cases that people have soft tissue damage that they needed these devices to, stimulate, to ease their pain and stimulate cellular growth. So mostly that's what I've been doing, using them with.
So have you worked with actual patients with these products?
I don't work directly with the patients and the products. We have a peer person that fits that.
As far as Mr. Harris, are you concerned with your MDEG not having any experience, or is there anything that you're not?
I'm not concerned with him in working with patients. That's a trained role. We have service techs that are specifically for that role. The primary focus with Jim is to put us in touch with personal injury attorneys who have clients that are looking to heal pain, whether it's acute pain or chronic pain following a car accident, injury at work, anything of that nature.
So your business model is working with mostly PI firms and law firms for getting patients, and Mr. Fox he's working with law firms and getting the patient.
Correct.
Skylar, does he meet the definition of,
Yeah, I'm gonna look up his hours here.
Yeah, you take your time. There's a certain requirement to be an administrator, so it's just not like you look, I'll talk.
So I'm on page, just for the board, 3017. Description of duties, looks like it's just sort of a standard definition of MDEG. We've seen it as well.
Yeah, well, and then also on page 3021, it lists some of the requirements there. So, Mr. Cox, my concern would be there is a legal definition of an MDIG administrator in Nevada, and it's very specific in terms of having a certain amount of hours working with patients with the products that you will be servicing. And it sounds like your experience is more focused on the legal side of the business versus kind of the MDIG side. And so that's kind of where we're wondering if you meet the definition. You stated that you don't have experience working with the patients at this time, and we need at least 1,500 hours of verifiable work experience related to the products provided by the medical products provider or wholesaler. And so that's what the language lists, or it could be an associate's degree or higher from an accredited college or university. That's what we're.
Related to healthcare.
What was your, it looks like you went to UNLV, what was your degree?
Business management,
Okay.
and at that time, but as far as working with the patients is, my service, we probably put these on, you know, I take care of the medical needs for patients within my job in personal injury. And so I have experience with that. I mean, you asked me, did I fit them? I know I don't go and fit them to their homes and things, but I have a lot of experience in dealing with people that are in pain, that are arranging for them to receive, whether it be injections, whether it be these devices, whether it be necessary surgery, working directly there with the doctors to get patient care. So I do work with clients, patients that way, but I didn't go to their house and fit them, so I didn't want to state that I did, because I didn't do that.
Can I help you a little bit?
Yes.
So again, you're allowed to be involved in the business. Nobody's saying that. And your model, well, I'll probably digest that at a later date, but they'll weigh on your license today. But the key to it, the law says, the person that's the administrator has to be able to know how to set it up, and have direct experience with that. Do you have a direct experience with the products that you're going to be doing?
Are you asking me?
Yes, you.
Yes, I've taken care of probably just shy of 5,000 patients.
Okay, so why are you not the administrator?
Sounds like I may need to be the, which I have no problem being.
You can find somebody else, but we need some, like, you seem like you know about the products. And I know you know how to help people but how does it actually work? How does the product work? We need that administrator to be that person. He can work on his hours with you and then do that and become the administrator. But I mean, the law, we can't have somebody that doesn't know how to set up the product and answer questions be the administrator. That's what the board's saying.
I understand. Is there, if I may ask a question, I am the CEO of the company. Is there the opportunity for me to be the administrator as well?
Yes.
You can, but you have to be here. And I don't know if you're in Florida, you mentioned Florida business, so the MDEC administrator has to be available at this location.
Understand.
Mr. Harris, you mentioned that there'll be service technicians that are gonna go out to do the actual fitting.
Yes.
Is there a service technician that is in Las Vegas that has the 1,500 hours that perhaps you could list as an alternate administrator?
I'm sure there is, but we don't have one that's currently employed with Progressive Recovery.
Yeah, so you could do, I mean, you can, Skylar can say this, you can approve it and it's gonna include an inspection and they'll have to have the administrator there at the time, or you can table it and have that administrator back to you, however you choose. And Skylar may have more questions.
Do you plan on being in Vegas in the future full-time anytime soon?
I do.
Do you have a timeline for that?
I would like to say within the next 2 years. My fiance is becoming a pilot. She wants to work out of Vegas. She's currently in the academy now with American Airlines. So yes, we're hoping to work here. I'd like to live here. At this point, though, I live in Florida. You know, as I kind of explained earlier, my passion is to make a significant reduction on the amounts of people that are in pain that suffer from opiate and narcotic addiction. That is why we carry the DME products that we carry. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes if that means hiring someone else with the proper amount of patient hands-on hours. These are those 1,500 hours.
Yes.
I can easily do that. Or one of my things here in running my company out of Las Vegas is our service techs are extremely valuable. That face-to-face interaction with the patients, the compliance monitoring, just talking to people that are going through some of the worst times of their lives. It takes a very special person to do that. And, with the growth that I'm hoping that we'll achieve, I'm hoping to provide jobs for a minimum of 25 service technicians that are going to deliver products to these patients within the next 2 years. I didn't know, I apologize, I didn't know about the hour requirement for the administrator role, but that's something that's very easily overcome.
So at this time, it's certainly up to you in terms of if you want to table your application for now, come back with a designated, a new MDEG administrator that meets the qualifications, which I'm sure you can find. The other alternative is, you certainly meet the qualifications as the MDEG administrator, but then you would have to be here full-time when your facility is open. So would you like to table your application while you find a new MDEG administrator, or are you ready to move to Las Vegas?
Las Vegas at this point, I think it's a little expensive, but I believe I have another individual in mind that could easily meet these qualifications. Mario would. He has well over 1,500 hours of working with patients in exactly what we are doing.
Great. Okay.
I can absolutely put his name as our administrator, since I am going to be working with him. I've been meeting with him this week. He's very well versed in everything that we carry. He's well versed in patient care. And he also shares the same passion that I do for patients that are suffering from opiate narcotic overuse and dependence.
Okay. So I guess for board staff,
Well, yeah, we can do whatever you want. If he wants to put the name on the record, if we come for the inspection, we'll be looking for the person that meets the qualification. So we can do that on your behalf. If he's gonna put him, we'll be checking between Florida and Las Vegas to see where he is. So either way, there has to be an administrator, and that can be vetted by the board staff. If you want if you want to give him the opportunity to table it, then that's a possibility too. If you want to talk to that other person, it's totally your choice of how you want us to proceed.
so Mr. Harris, you can table it, or if you want to put the name, it sounds like you have someone in mind, but I don't know if you want to talk to the individual first, or how would you like to name someone, or would you like to table it? Okay.
Yes, the individual's name is Mario Sanchez, for the record. When you perform your inspection, he will be present. You can show the products. The products are in a locked case display. We don't retail them, they're by prescription only. He can show you the products and he can speak on behalf of them as well.
So what I would feel comfortable with is an updated application with his information and his background, and then upon inspection, board staff would be validating his credentials, just like we're doing now. Okay, all right, so board.
Skylar, are you good with that?
Yeah, and I'll talk to them.
I was gonna say Skylar's available in the meantime, so now you have a contact and she'll help you through the process.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
We're not done yet, yes.
I just like to say, I think that's a very valuable alternative that you're providing to our community. If everything goes well, so I really appreciate that. And Jay Jacobo, for the record, I would move that we approve new MDEG application for progressive recovery, pending an updated application reflecting your new MDEG person, Mario Sanchez, is that correct? Perfect. In favorable inspection. Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Jacobo, a second by Ms. Taylor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We wish you all the best.
Thank you all for your time.
All right, we will go next to agenda item 8B for Orion Specialty Labs LLCs. We have representatives here. If you could please come forward.
Somebody online too, the owner, is she online? So, okay.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are your mics on? Okay.
Hello.
There you go. That's perfect.
Hello, is mine?
Yes, very good. Mic check. All right. If I could have each of you state your full name and titles for the record.
Sure. Good morning, Madam President, Board. Thank you for having us here. I'm John Hartley, Vice President of Technical Operations for Orion.
Great, thank you.
Madam President, Board. My name is Justin Kernett.
pharmacist in charge for Orion.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chris Musser. I'm the VP of Pharmacy Operations.
All right, and will there be anyone else joining you today?
No.
All right, I'm going to swear each of you in or together, but I need a verbal affirmation from each. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, I will turn it over to Dr. Kuykendall.
All right, so we have a new application for an outsourcing facility from Orion Specialty Labs LLC in Henderson, Nevada. The agenda item is 8B and begins on page 3057 in the board book. There was previously an item that was tabled from the March board meeting of this year. Some of these questions were meant for the owner, Kimberly Mueller, so I'll just open it up for any of you guys to answer. But the basic question is, why do you guys want to open an outsourcing facility in Nevada?
I'll answer that. Really just our ownership has realized that opportunity.
And then, I'm sorry to interrupt, but since there's three of you, if before you speak, if you could always state your name, and that will help our record. Thank you.
Okay, hi, this is John Hartwig. Just overall, our ownership has been in the industry, particularly previously selling an operation out of Florida, and has realized the opportunity here in Nevada for some potential clients that are right here in Nevada, and saw an opportunity with a facility here in Nevada that previously was a 503B. And they purchased or leasing that facility and converting that into a 503B. So it really was just a business opportunity that they saw here in the need.
Okay. And then since Kimberly isn't here, she did write a letter to the board that begins on page 3058 that sort of addresses some of the questions that was brought up during the March board meeting. The next question I have is, do you guys have a time frame in mind of when you will start compounding products if you get your license?
Yes, this is Chris Musser. What I would say is that, right now we're nearing construction and getting ready to start commissioning, qualification, and validation. And, our timetable now looks like, I would say, early Q4 for us to be ready for operational readiness.
Okay. And then according to FDA records, your initial FDA registration was completed on September 19th, 2025. No inspection has been recorded to date. Has the FDA provided you with a time frame of when they will be doing the inspection once you open?
No, we have not heard anything from the FDA.
Okay, and then who will be your guys' target customers?
This is John Hartwig. Particularly one client of 503A we have targeted right now, and we've been meeting with preliminarily. 503As.
Okay. On the application, you guys listed that you'll be compounding testosterone injectable solutions. Is there anything else you will be or planning to compound?
This is John Hartwig. At this time, we do just really have several SKUs of testosterone that we want to work towards getting on stability and focus on the testosterone launch first.
And then are you guys familiar with the FDA 503B essential copy guidance?
This is Chris Musser. Yes, I am.
And will you be following it?
Yes, yeah, we will be abiding, by the FDA's guidance on essential copies.
Do you anticipate obtaining licensure in additional states to distribute products outside of Nevada?
This is Chris Musser. Yes, we do. I would say the first milestone is really to get the home state license. And then at that point, that's when we can work with the other states to get out-of-state resident licenses.
Okay. In the letter that Kimberly wrote to the board, they wrote that Orion has invested more than $600,000 to make improvements to the Henderson facility, and an additional $250,000 is the remaining amount to be invested in preparation for operational readiness. Is that correct?
Hi, this is John Hartwig. Yes, and really, if it's more to make sure we have the appropriate systems in place, we have the capital approvals to make that happen. But yeah, right now I'd say we put our 250 in.
And then in the same letter from Kimberly, they indicated that Mr. Hartwig and Muster will be employees of the facility. I believe in March, you guys were just consultants. You also identified Justin Kernett as the pharmacist in charge, and reference plans to hire sterile compounding pharmacy technicians and a director of quality control. How many pharmacy technicians do you anticipate hiring?
At the moment, one, and then as we ramp up, we'll continue to build as we go.
And then with all the staff under Orion, what analysis or financial projections were conducted to determine whether the proposed 250,000 would be sufficient to support all the personnel costs, sterility and stability testing, equipment qualification, and other costs?
This is Chris Mustard. Just to be clear, that 250,000 is really just the capital investment required to get the facility operational. In terms of the operating costs with with headcount as well as with stability testing, that would be an additional cost. Yeah, I just want to clarify that.
Okay, and then do you have an amount of how much would be invested with just preparing to open besides the 250?
I think it'd be difficult to say that at this point. With the products that we're planning on launching, there's the stability testing. We're working with outside labs right now to be able to get those quotations. But yeah, in rough order of magnitude, I would say somewhere south of maybe $500,000.
This next question is for Mr. Hartwig. Can you explain your role with Orion for the VP of Technical Operations? What does that entail?
Sure. This is John Hartwig. My role involves with that capital spending, the facilities, the utilities, systems, software, everything as far as from a functioning viewpoint, making sure that SOPs are in place. Really just from putting the capital and the systems in place to make sure that operations can run efficiently and compliant.
And what is your experience with outsourcing facilities?
I've been in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry for the past 30 years. A lot of times building larger capital projects, starting up operations, supporting them for a short period of time, maybe 6 months on helping support those new operations run. We've done everything in the past from starting with design of a facility, green space, to building it, designing it, supporting the build out, operationalizing it, supporting CQV activities, even supporting with operational and staffing.
Anyways, for the record, you didn't ask the question. The 503B, do you have experience with 503?
Okay, so
just said generally.
503Bs, yeah. 503Bs has probably been 15% of that overall.
What were the names of the 503Bs that you were involved in?
We've worked with Carrie Boyd, worked with Athena, I think it was Athena or Aspire. Let's see.
If you don't know, it's okay. Just
I don't know.
Billy, thanks.
10 years.
And then Mr. Hartwig, where do you reside? What state?
I'm in Texas.
Will you be relocating to Nevada?
Not full-time necessarily. Right now, I'm just here quite consistently, driving back and forth.
Okay, and then once you guys are licensed, if you get your license approved and you guys are opening, how often do you anticipate traveling to Nevada to oversee operations?
Probably at least every 2 weeks, on and off, a week, back and forth.
All right. My next questions are for the pharmacist in charge, Justin Kernut. Since having your license revoked in 2016 and not fully reinstated since 2021, where have you worked since 2021 to present day?
Justin Kernut for the record. Since 2021, I have worked in nuclear pharmacy in Idaho for Quantum Isotopes of Idaho, as well as relocating here to RLS Nuclear Pharmacy.
And can you provide information on your experience with 503B pharmacies?
This is my first endeavor.
Can you provide information on your experience being a pharmacist in charge?
Sure. As part of Quantum Isotopes of Idaho, upon receiving my full license back in May of 2021, shortly thereafter, the pharmacist in charge at that time, who had been over me for the previous few years, stepped down and I stepped up. And since then, From that time on, day-to-day operations, regulatory compliance, especially nuclear pharmacy aseptic technique. So that's some of the main things that I oversaw as pharmacist in charge.
And which guidelines or standards will you reference to manage sterile compounding and environmental monitoring with Orion?
Yeah, so this 21 CFR 2010, 2011 are the main guidelines with which we abide by to the FDA for cleaner practices.
Sorry, can you say which ones again?
21 CFR 210 to 11.
And what's your experience with working with those?
Is current. So more training since last time I sat here. So received some certifications and extended training through Critical Point as well as ISPE in gaining additional training through 4503B specifically.
Okay, so you completed some online courses?
Correct.
How many hours of CE did you obtain from those?
From the Critical Point one, it was 34.5 CEUs, and then the other ones were through ISPE, which weren't necessarily pharmacy CEUs, but probably an additional 6 or 7 hours.
My next questions are for Mr. Musser. Can you explain your role with Orion as the VP of Pharmacy Operations?
Sure. This is Chris Musser. So as VP of Pharmacy Operations, I'm responsible for, the activities that happen. I'm the designated representative for the license. In terms of my experience, I've been a retail pharmacist since 1992 and moved into pharmaceutical manufacturing about 25 years ago. Since 2012, I've been in parental manufacturing, fill finish, sterile and injectables. And for the last, since 2017, 8 years, 9 years, been in 503B industries.
And then which 503B industries have you been in?
Yes, I was part of SCA Pharma, which is based in Hartford, Connecticut, as well as Chemistry RX, which is in Fulcroft outside Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you. And then in the application, it was stated that you hired a director of quality control. Who will that be?
This is Chris Musser. Yeah, so the person that we hired is no longer with us. It wasn't working out. We're currently right now searching for the next candidate.
And what would the director of quality control do with Orion?
This is Chris Musser. So the director of quality control, really, it's the site head quality. They'll be responsible for the quality control and the quality assurance activities, including the day-to-day activities. So all environmental monitoring activities, as well as any type of analytical testing, will roll up into to that person's review and approval, as well as the day-to-day activities in terms of the following SOPs, following the guidances, everything with our quality management system as well, in terms of deviations, CAPAs, change controls.
Okay, and will this position be a pharmacist position or open to any degree?
This is Chris Musser. I would just say that right now, we're still in the searching process. It is advantageous for us to hire a pharmacist, as a backup or redundancy, to Mr. Knutt. But right now it's just too early to tell.
Okay, and then where do you currently reside?
I currently reside in Alabama.
Can you explain to the board how you will effectively supervise pharmacy operations from out of state with a pharmacist in charge with limited experience with 503B?
This is Chris Musser. Yeah, so similar to Mr. Hartwig, I'll be traveling to the site and overseeing. I would just say that with the plans for the site, this would be probably a co-location situation where I would have some type of an apartment or some type of permanent residence. And this is similar to what I've done in the past with some of the other companies and organizations that I've been with, and it's been successful.
Okay, and then how often are you planning on visiting Nevada once you guys are open?
Yeah, I would say that, every other week at a minimum. And it's something where, I truly believe that you have to be all in And the way, that you can be all in is, to be on site.
What measures will you implement to ensure appropriate oversight with Dr. Knapp?
This is Chris Musser. Yeah, so I would just say that, we'll establish, the appropriate touch base, on a daily basis. We'll have, we've already started, but we'll have our tactical meetings, ensuring that the tasks are getting completed. There will be, lots of communication, but, just like I said, on site, it's really the total involvement in the operation.
Okay. When did you first become aware of Dr. Kernut's prior disciplinary action by the Board of Pharmacy with the revocation of his pharmacist license in 2016?
This is Chris Musser. I became available. I'm sorry. That news came to me when I signed on with Orion.
And then what information were you provided regarding the circumstance surrounding the prior disciplinary action?
This is Chris Musser. It was full disclosure.
Are you aware that the prior disciplinary action involved Justin falsifying prescriptions for himself and filling those prescriptions at the pharmacy where he was employed?
This is Chris Musser. Yes, I am aware of that.
What assessment or due diligence, if any, was conducted regarding Justin Kernut's fitness to supervise pharmacy operations, since you will be dealing with controlled substances at Orion?
This is Chris Musser. Yeah, in terms of the, if we're talking about the inventory and the controlled substances, it's something where we have, we'll have the appropriate systems in place. And Mr. Kernut's not necessarily defense, but I'm all about second chances. And the fact is that he has been reinstated by the Nevada Board of Pharmacy. And, that was, several years ago, and he's been in good standing since.
All right, no further questions.
I have a couple. Mr. Harwick, you might have, I don't think you were on the meeting last time. Did you attend virtually?
I was remote.
Okay, yeah. And so I think I think the concerns that were brought up by the board and staff last time, the goal was to meet these concerns. And so I think being prepared and answering in a accurate manner was a question at last meeting. And so I'm going to ask you, and then you said something today that just I'm trying to figure out. So the owner, Kimberly, you said that she sold another 503B, and now she's coming into this 503B. Okay, so that's what you said. That's what you said, but maybe that's not what you meant. So I want you to have an opportunity to clear the record. So.
Kimberly was, a lot of the questions was directed towards Kimberly in the last meeting.
And I think it's concerning that she's not here today too, so.
Unfortunately, she had a medical issue.
Okay.
But it was a 503A.
Okay, so that was Paul Maher or whatever.
Yeah, Paul Maher.
Okay, so, because again, you're talking in generalities and then I'm talking about particulars. So I agree with that. She sold a 503A and then identified she wanted to move into a 503B.
Correct.
And I think for me, having run another 503B and then selling that and opening another one, it has more meaning to me, is what I'm saying. And I think for my, I think that just to help the board address what happened last time and this time, I think you guys being employees, I think that you have the skill. And I think that are you going to be here doing it or what's going to happen? I think with Mr. Kernut, I think Billy pointed it out. This is the highest level of what we're doing here. And to have someone come in that doesn't have the skill and already have it is a problem. And that's the full-time employee. So I think that it doesn't come down to his past discipline or whatever. It just comes down to the skill, and doing 30 hours of CE is not enough to be the supervising pharmacist at a 503B. To me, if you were that person, I'd feel more comfortable with it because you easily answer all these questions and you have I'm pulling up the places you guys worked. You have the chops so that's the concern. And did we really identify what the board said to you last time? So with that, I'll turn it over to the board.
This is Helen Park. I think I appreciate what you said, Mr. Weiss, because that's exactly where I'm at with this. So in our last meeting appearance, we asked Dr. Kernett about your experience, and while it's nice that you have some online training, I don't think that meets the necessary requirements to be in this position. And I'm listening to the testimony from all three of you, and it just makes me wonder with a new 503B, like why so insistent on an individual who has no experience in that area? It doesn't reconcile. Like I'm unsure why that would be the case, because I would think you would want someone to have that relevant experience. And I think, we're about second chances as well. That's why he's reinstated. But that doesn't necessarily mean he meets the technical qualifications for the job. I think having a place there, that's a decision. But having someone with the actual experience would appear to make more sense and be safer in terms of a choice in opening a new 503B. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm unsure why we're digging our heels and only, Dr. Kernett for this position, as opposed to adding someone else that Dr. Kernett can work with and perhaps learn with over the years. That would make a little more sense, but not Dr. Kernett in that role.
I want to add one more thing before you answer. We need more 503Bs. I would like to have another 503B in Nevada because it's access, right? And so the model we're for very much. We just want to do it in a safe manner is what the board's about. You can answer.
Yeah, this is John Harwig, and I'll try to add some color to it because I was part of interviewing Justin. And I completely understand through this process what you're saying. I would like to try to defend it a little bit as far as from a 503B viewpoint, as far as the change or the difference, being that he has and his training going into the SOPs and making sure that he will have all that additional training and oversight to make sure that things are followed, batch records being followed and signed and authorized or approved or by reviewers. And if that's what we need to do is to make sure he's got more oversight, we will do that. So if that is some direction, as now being brought on and being part owner, gladly take that under advisement and make sure we do that. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Musser, a question for you, having the experience in this space. Why not choose a pharmacist who has relevant experience in this area?
Yes, this is Chris Musser. I would just say that, my role as VP of Pharmacy Operations is overseeing, the entire site and the entire operation. We understand that Dr. Kernett is coming in with limited experience, but,
He has no hands-on experience. That's my
I do
understanding.
have PCCA certification and I have worked at 503As, not as a fill-in.
This is not a 503A though. This is
I
a
understand,
503.
but it.
Completely different
I
standards.
understand, but compounding. Compounding batch records versus individual patient compounds seems. Yeah, they are different. Also, there's a lack of pharmacists in Nevada. So if I could just put my 2 cents in there, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just gonna say, in terms of, what my oversight would be, I would say a portion of that would be the guidance and the mentoring of Dr. Kernett. It would be overseeing the day-to-day operations, basically having the training wheels on until we're comfortable with that. It'd be taking a much more directive style. So, if we were not confident that that would be successful, then we would have a different candidate. But, I'm confident in my abilities, and I'm confident in Dr. Kernett's abilities that he can do the job.
With all due respect, I think it's the board's duty to also evaluate Mr. Kernett's abilities, and I share the same concerns as our chair. Again, 503A and 503D are two different animals. And we're at the level where now you're manufacturing as a commercial manufacturer and dispensing patients. So I don't feel comfortable with your current candidate as the pick.
Like you mentioned,
I'm sorry, a little bit more substance. We need a pick in place that's able to identify risks before they happen, not someone that you're hand holding along. And, you know, again, our job is to protect the patients of Nevada. And, you know, with utmost respect to Mr. Kurna, I think, you know, you've again paid your dues and this isn't a reflection on you. We just need someone that is already experienced.
okay. I'll address it. This is John Hartwig, and we will address that and make sure that we have another pick. And then he's got appropriate support, that a mentor and somebody that has more experience.
So would you like to table your application at this time?
This is Chris Mustard. Yes, I would like to table our application this time.
Great, well, we'll table at your request and we appreciate your appearance today. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I'll put on the record too, Billy and Joe and Yen and I are available in the meantime. So I think we just had a misconnect or something. So reach out to staff and we can kind of help you in the meantime if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Oh, we gotta keep going.
Do we have time for 9A? Sure. Right, then we will go for 9A, Helping Hands RX LLC. We have representatives here or online. If you could please come forward. Let us know through the chat function or raise your hand on Zoom.
And be online, which is.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, now we can. Will anyone else be joining you today?
Just me today.
Okay, can you state your full name and title for the record?
Allison Koskos, and I am pharmacist in charge.
Great. Mr. Koskos, I'm going to swear you in. If you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And I will turn this over to Dr. Kuiper.
Thank you. We have a new application for an out-of-state pharmacy license located in Crystal River, Florida. This is item 9A and begins on page 3091 in the board book. They are applying for a retail, community, and serial compounding license. The owner of the pharmacy will be Stephanie Robinson. There was some disclosures on the application for Stephanie. Allison, are you able to discuss those on her behalf?
I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the last part of it. What was it?
So there were some disclosures that Stephanie put on the application with some prior occurrences that happened in Minnesota and Iowa. Are you able to talk on her behalf about those?
I should be able to, but I will also send a quick ping to have her get on just in case you need her directly.
Okay.
But I will do my best. So it's up to you guys.
Well, I'll save those questions for later in case she does get on.
Okay.
But with you being the managing pharmacist, it looks like you were licensed in Nevada since December 2025. And then will you also be the designated person for the compounding pharmacy?
Yes.
The first question for you is, what is your experience being a pharmacist in charge and a designated person at a compounding pharmacy?
So pharmacist in charge, this is my first experience. I've been here for 2 years. But for compounding pharmacy, I've been in leadership roles for the last almost 6 years.
Okay. And then this information is in the application, but can you please specify the products you intend to compound again?
Yeah, so right now it's actually only 2. We're just doing GLP-1s. We only have tirzepatide and semaglutide. We will be looking at peptides as they become available later in the year and they're brought forth by the FDA and legalized and things like that. But as for right now, just GLP-1s.
Okay. And then on the application, you guys also listed hormones. Is that not what you're doing now then?
Not right now. It's something that we'll potentially look into in the future, but as of right now, no.
Okay. Is there a time frame in mind of when you guys will start doing hormones? Because I saw on your website that it says USP 800 compliance is coming soon.
Yes, coming soon. I'm hoping early next year. It could be the end of this year. I'm not too sure yet, but we are looking into all of it. So.
And then on the application, you guys also marked that you were compounding peptides. Are you familiar with the FDA bulk substance guidance for 503A pharmacies?
Sorry, the what substance guidance?
The bulk substance guidance.
I'm so sorry, I didn't hear what you said. The what substance guidance?
The bulk,
Bulk substance
Yeah, yeah.
guidance.
Yeah.
As in how much we're bringing into the pharmacy or how much we're distributing?
So the guidance has different lists, category 1, 2, and 3. And some peptides are on there and they're being moved around. But does your pharmacy compound any peptides at the moment?
So we're only doing category 2 substances. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, category 2.
No. Are you talking about category 2 sterile compounding?
Sterile
Because I'm talking
compounding.
about category 2 on the FDA bulk substance list, which is something different.
Oh, no. Category 2 compounding. And then right now we're only doing the GLP-1s, semaglutide, tirzepatide. We're not compounding anything else.
Okay. And then with the GLP-1s, how are you guys ensuring that the FDA essential copy guidance, that you guys are following it?
Yeah, so they're definitely more than 10% different. Our strengths are very different from what is commercially available.
How so?
So our current strength for tirzepatide is 40 milligram per 2, per 2 milliliters, which is different than what's commercially available. And then the semaglutide is 10 milligram per 2 milliliters as well.
And then why do you guys want to get your license for Nevada?
Sorry, what was it again?
Why do you guys want to get your license in Nevada?
So we're just wanting to expand throughout the US. We're already licensed, I believe, in 14 other states as a pharmacy, and I'm licensed in 10 myself as a pharmacist. So just kind of wanting to get all the ones that we can. So Nevada was on our list.
And what is your marketing strategy to target Nevada patients?
Yeah, so we have a representative sales team. We have people who are actually on the ground, boots on the ground in Nevada that we work with directly, and they'll be reaching out to Nevada patients and providers, things like that. We have a website that they're also able to reference, and they can look that up as well.
And then is Ms. Robinson able to join us? Did she get back to you?
Yes, I believe so. Should be under Stephanie. If you wanted to just double check to see if she's in here, should be online.
Okay, and then Stephanie Robinson, if you are online, if you could help us out by raising your hand in Zoom or notifying us somehow.
Maybe.
You have a raised hand. Perfect.
You just need to unmute yourself on your line. Go ahead, Stephanie. Start talking. Still wait. We've unmuted you. We're waiting on you to unmute yourself. Madam President, we've unmuted her. She just needs to unmute herself on her side. Or do you have a microphone? Are you sure your microphone's working? We're going to mute you and then unmute you again. Try that. So we're asking you to unmute yourself, Stephanie. Go ahead. Try again, Stephanie.
Call-in number?
Stephanie, it looks like you're unmuted. Can you speak?
It does look like I'm not sure her microphone's working. No, Madam President, I think probably just break for lunch and then we'll pick this up right afterwards. I give you time to get to the restroom, wash your hands, and we'll do lunch. We'll be back at 1 o'clock. Work those details out in the meantime.
Okay. We'll go ahead and break for lunch and then work the technical details out, and we will be back at 1 o'clock, and then we'll resume with helping hands. All right, thank you. Great, we're going to resume with our Board of Pharmacy meeting with agenda item 9A, Helping Hands RX. So we have representatives back, Dr. Costos and Stephanie Robinson. You are out there. If you could raise your hand on Zoom.
Hi, yes, we're here. I have Stephanie here with me as well.
Okay, so Dr. Coscos, you're still sworn in. And then
Yes.
for Stephanie Robinson, can you state your full name for the record and your title?
Stephanie Robinson, I'm the owner.
Okay, great. I'm going to swear you in. If you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And then I'll turn it back to Dr. Kuykendall.
I'll go first. Stephanie, are you a pharmacist? Are you a registered pharmacist or you're just the owner?
I'm just the owner.
No, and not, you're more than just the owner, but you're the, yeah, it's Dave Weiss for the record. I think contemplating this, it seems like this would be a candidate for a visit from the staff. It's just related to the small business model, relating to the bulk substance list, the need for a reason to be making the GLP-1s. I'd probably recommend that if you move forward with the application, that it requires a site visit from one or more staff members to on site to the pharmacy. Billy can continue with the his questioning, or you can talk to them if they're interested in doing that, and we can probably just answer those questions when we get there. I will put on the record that Joe did do a meeting with them in February, and that went well enough to get them to here. So it's not that we have huge concerns. It's just like, how are we assuring that they're not doing essential copies and those? And it basically would need a visit for that.
Okay.
So, okay, all right. Well, that makes it they're amenable to a visit, and that would be at the pharmacy's expense. With that, then the questions, do we want to continue with any
I'll
further?
leave it to Billy if he needs to, or if there's anything else you wanted to put. I mean, they're under oath now, so if there's something you want to put on the record, you can do that, Billy.
Ms. Robinson, can you just explain some of the disclosures that you made in the application?
For which one?
I believe there was something about checks.
It was over 20 years ago, and was hanging around the wrong people and got wrapped up in things that I should have not gotten wrapped up in. And I wrote non-sufficient checks.
Okay, and then since you asked which one, are there others?
What?
Are there other disclosures?
They're just those ones from Iowa, Minnesota.
Okay, I guess no further questions.
Yeah, just for the record, if you do proceed with that, we're booked up for June, but we probably could get there in July would be our target. And then we can grant the license after that visit.
Okay, so I would feel comfortable with that visit and with that pending a positive inspection.
Madam President, this is Yen Long. May I ask the applicant a question?
Certainly.
Thank you. This is for the pharmacist, Allison. Can you tell me when, from Florida, when you compound these products, will you be shipping them directly to patients or to practitioners' offices? How will you be shipping them?
These will be going directly to patients.
Okay. Do you have any contracts, or will you have any contracts with certain providers where they're going to utilize you as the pharmacy rather than another pharmacy to do these GLPs?
There will be no contracts involved.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Great. Any other questions for Helping Hands RX?
Who do we reach out to?
Yes, so we would need a motion to approve pending a positive inspection.
All right, Adam Port for the record, I would move that we approve pharmacy application for Helping Hands RX LLC pending favorable inspection.
Crystal Freitas, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Porath, a second by Ms. Freitas. Any further discussion?
Like Madam President, just in the motion, it'll be just direct expenses. So but
The expense of the pharmacy, yeah. So we have an amended motion?
We have an amended motion.
Amended second? Second. Any further discussion?
May I ask a question, please?
We're in just a moment. We're in the middle of the motion.
Oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. And then your question?
Is this something that we send like a follow-up email for, or how would we go about scheduling for an inspection? Or does the board reach out to us?
Yeah, Billy will reach out to you. It'll probably be next week. We'll start getting it arranged. If you make the decision to not do it, there's still other pathways for you. We'll just come back and forth in front of the board and say you didn't do it or whatever. So Billy will walk you through all that.
Okay,
Are you licensed in California yet or not?
I'm not.
It's quite similar to how California does it.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we're gonna move on. Our next agenda item would be 11A for Alto Pharmacy. If we have representatives here or online for Alto Pharmacy, if you please come forward or raise your hand on Zoom.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Hi, could you please state your full name and title for the record?
Yes, my name is Salma Abdul Ghani. I'm the Senior Manager of Pharmacy Operations with Alto Pharmacy.
Okay, will anyone else be joining you today?
No, it'll just be me.
Okay, I'm gonna swear you in. If you join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Mr. Weist.
So is it okay if I call you Salma?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Dave Weeks for the record. Board, in front of you have a new application for a pharmacy that's located in Texas. Salma, are you aware that you have do you have a licensed pharmacy in Nevada now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and you cover that pharmacy too?
I actually do not, but this is just to help relieve that site if needed.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
the Texas.
I just was asking. Just
Okay.
you do not, which is fine.
No, I have the east portion of the country.
Okay, there's no problem with that. Just wanted to know who I was talking to. So, and during this, you've made a disclosure, which it looks on its face to be quite proper. I'll run the board through it. The application starts on page 3275. It's a pretty lengthy disclosure, but in the middle of there, it pretty much said that you either appealed it or asked for a conference, and the board of California ultimately chose to dismiss those items against you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so it's kind of a really weird citation. Were you involved in that, or just because you're on the East Coast, you don't know much about that citation?
Correct. I'm familiar with it, but I don't have all the details other than knowing that it was dismissed.
Okay. I think that's fine. I mean, the board can read it itself. California ultimately did dismiss it. It's pretty provocative stuff about filling prescriptions that they didn't have valid prescriptions for. And so I just talked to you about your current, I think the gist of that was just making sure that you have valid prescribers. So I'd like to put on the record that with the pharmacies that you're over in this Texas pharmacy, how do you go about identifying that when a prescription comes in, it's a valid, legitimate prescription from a properly licensed physician or practitioner?
We've retrained most of our staff to properly identify that. Typically, my understanding was it had to do with mid-level prescribing and that supervising prescriber information was missing, which is why the state had originally assumed or thought those were improper. Again, not knowing the full details of those facts, we had retrained our entire team and pharmacist team to know how to properly identify those, as well as know what state requires certain requirements on their hard copies as well.
Okay. And do you have any questions or concern related to the Texas pharmacy with Nevada, following Nevada law?
No.
Okay. No further questions for me, Madam President. Thanks for your time and putting that on the record.
Board members, any additional questions for Alto Pharmacy?
Madam President, I don't have any. I think I appreciate the disclosures and explanation there. I know all the other states, so I'd be comfortable moving forward. Pharmacy application for Alto Pharmacy. This Texas.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Porath, a second by Ms. Jacobo. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you as well.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 11B for Janus RX. If we have representatives here for Janus RX, please raise your hand or let us know through Zoom. Press *6, *9 if you're on the phone.
Not seen anyone. I think that's Billy's. The next one's gonna be Yen, so Bill, do you want to try and step out and see if you can contact them and get them on?
We'll circle back with Janus RX and we'll move on to 13A for Ben Boyer. We have Ben Boyer here or online. If you could please raise your hand and we'll get your line unmuted. All right. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Certainly. And then if you could start by just stating your full name for the record.
Yes, it is Ben Boyer. I'm a nurse practitioner.
Great. I'm going to swear you in if you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great. I will turn it over to Dr. Long.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Boyer, my name is Yen. I'm going to be introducing your application to the board. This is item 13A, which begins on page 3526 of the board book. Mr. Boyer is applying for a registration to prescribe dangerous drugs only as an APRN into Nevada. And he reported some disciplinary action with the Utah Division of Occupation and Professional Licensing. And this is the reason why he is appearing before the board today. Based on your application, Mr. Boyer, you reported that sometime in February of 2009 to February 2012, you were an employee at Cache Valley Community Health Center Clinic, and you were engaged in dispensing controlled substances and dangerous drugs at that location without proper licensure. Is that correct?
Yes, I would love a chance to explain those
Sure.
reasons, but yes.
Yeah, go ahead and can you explain the situation surrounding those events?
Absolutely. And I hope the board has access to the letter of explanation that I also sent. But in simple terms, the Cache Valley and Bear Lake Community Health Centers at the time served a very rural area in northern Utah. At one of our sites specifically, the understanding of the medical director and pharmacy director at the time was that because we were a rural area, that if our providers did see patients on an after-hours basis, that we could provide to them one-day supply of medications, whether that be antibiotics or pain medication. And there were a few instances of controlled substance pain medications provided to patients. The prescriptions that we had been writing were to our own in-house pharmacies. They would then package them in one-day supplies where they were held in a lockbox that was only accessed by providers, and then the providers kept a log of all of the medications that they dispensed after hours to those patients, again on a one-day supply of medication. DOPL, the Utah Department of Occupational and Professional Licensure, came to our site, informed us that we had misunderstood the rules for rural care, and subsequently we stopped the practice the same day that they came, but due to the investigation that they underwent, it was deemed appropriate to cite my license at that time for having participated in that effort to provide care to patients after hours. As you can see, if you want or have had a chance to read through, there was no suspension of my license. There was no fine of the license. It was a professional reprimand. I continued with the practice, felt confident and comfortable continuing there for several years until it came time to leave in 2023.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation. Yes, I did see that it was just a public reprimand on your license, so no fines or anything. So that was great. So you're applying for registration with the Nevada Board of Pharmacy, and I noticed that you are working in Utah, you live in Utah, and I think you're going to do telehealth with this license. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I did. or that is
Perfect.
the intent. Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. So you're not moving to Nevada with the intent to practice in Nevada, I'm assuming.
No, no, and I have no intention of prescribing controlled substances either through the telehealth practice. It's just it's with Intermountain Health's Connect Care Urgent Care, a telehealth platform for select health members to join to receive urgent care services only with no use of controlled substances.
Okay, so you would just be performing telehealth visits with patients who need urgent care type of services. Is that correct? And in Nevada, with Nevada patients, I mean.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. I'll turn over to the board for any additional questions.
Mr. Boyer, this is Helen Park. I was just curious, in those one-day supply packs, you said sample packs of pain meds and antibiotics. What were the medications? Were they controlled substances for pain meds?
Yes, they tramadol and hydrocodone were some of those sample, I don't know how to better call it, sample packs. Basically, the pharmacy director at the time understood that we were functioning similar to an emergency room where a small supply could be provided to patients. And so we would see them for injuries or illnesses after hours, and then usually no more than 4 pills at a time of a controlled substance, but that's what was there.
Okay. All right. And then your license today is, or your application today is for dangerous drugs only, correct?
Well, I was actually confused on that, actually. How do you categorize medications? But because I have no intention of prescribing controlled substances through Intermountain Health's Connect Care. And now I'm wondering if maybe the wrong box was checked in my application, because really with Intermountain Health's Connect Care Urgent Care, it is strictly just non-controlled substance urgent care situations, sore throats, urinary tract infections, yeast infections, those types of medications that we would be prescribing or that I would be prescribing.
So in your application, you checked the box for dangerous drugs only, so prescription drugs only, and you did not select controlled substances.
Okay.
Do you want to apply for the controlled substances?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And I guess, again, I apologize if I was confused in looking at dangerous medications being prescription medications versus controlled substances, but the intent is to only do urgent care medications, as I've mentioned.
Okay, I don't have any further questions, board members.
Either, Madam President, I would move that we approve application for a PRN prescriptive authority for dangerous drugs only for Mr. Ben Boyer.
Crystal Bring a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Cobo, a second by Ms. Freitas. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so very much. Just a quick follow-up question on the licensure information. How soon does that appear online so that I could go ahead and start prescribing?
Dave Weiss for the records. Check it. Make sure you check your spam because we sometimes show up in the spam. There's somebody at the office that's probably pushing a button right now. So it should be by the end of the day or tomorrow by the latest.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, and I appreciate your time.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
We go to Kate, I think.
All right, we'll go to 13B for Kate Cordisco. If you are online, if you could raise your hand or let us know through the chat function, or press *6 or *9 if you are on the phone.
Lucky Madam President, Kate was actually the first person to log in this morning. So, trying to give her a buzz. Christy, if you're listening to the meeting, can you give Kate a call? Hold tight for a minute, Madam President. I think while we're finding, I can at least tell you the circumstance of it. Is she on now? Okay. Hey, Kate. Kate, you there? Can you unmute yourself? Sorry for your long day, Kate. I know
No
you're.
worries. I'm in my car. Everybody, my internet went out, so I'm using my car's internet. It might not be the best, so I apologize in advance.
That's okay. It sounds pretty good, actually. So, Kate, if you could state your full name for the record.
Yes, Kate Cordisco.
Okay, I'm going to swear you in. If you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
So Dave Weeks for the record. Kate, nice to see you on Zoom. I've talked to Kate in the past. In front of you is an application for an out-of-state nurse practitioner that's a practitioner. And Kate originally, she's going to do telemed. She's doing components, and I'll let her explain to her your model. So Kate, just explain to the board what kind of patients you expect to see if you do work for Open Loop or somebody else.
Yes. So I do currently work for Open Loop. Open Loop is a company that works with various telemedicine companies, and I see patients for the GLP therapies, urgent care, and hopefully testosterone. And
So
testosterone. I'm sorry.
That's fine, Kate. No, you're doing great, Kate. So again, when she described what she was going to do, I informed her that testosterone is a controlled substance in Nevada. And so she subsequently worked with board staff, paid the requisite fee, and filled out the proper application. So there's two applications. One's for dangerous drugs. The second one is for the controlled substances. So she's in front of you today for both dangerous drugs and controlled substances. I wanted to explain that. And so in Kate doing that, being a good person that Kate is, she made a disclosure related to a pending action. She, I think, worked with an attorney that I read the disclosure and couldn't tell what happened. So I contacted Kate and said, can you explain it to it? I'm just going to remind the board, there's no discipline. There's no pending discipline. This is a disclosure of a case that Kate can tell you the circumstances. And I'll do that, and then I'll have my final ask for it. So go ahead, Kate. What's potentially happening in Delaware, I think?
So during the I worked for my previous company, and they I was a nurse practitioner for them, and they hired us full time, and they were trying to eliminate the full-time positions and bring in contracted positions from a company. And so in the course of doing that, they changed the protocols in Delaware for IV micronutrients, things like IV vitamins, NAD. And in the course of changing those protocols, they changed how the RNs treated the IV micronutrients. And what Delaware stated was that they were mixing them. The nurse practitioners that were full-time in Delaware, our names were located on the med room. And so the Board of Pharmacy saw the names and took those names down, and not the actual nurse practitioners that were prescribing. So that is why the attorney, I think in the letter from the attorney, he stated, Attorney Sampson stated that we're unsure why the investigation occurred, because we weren't the NPs that were prescribing that. During the course of that time, we found they let go of that company because I'm not sure why, but they let go and returned to full-time nurse practitioners, and still were working off of a protocol that we were unaware of. So that is why Delaware was investigating us. It's because of a protocol that was written that we were unaware of, that we were working from, because the RNs knew about it, but the NPs did not. We were still referring back to a protocol that was created by the leadership group of NPs with attorneys. So that is what is currently happening.
Thanks, Kate. So again, from my perspective, a little bit of a complicated deal. most likely, probably nothing comes out of it, but maybe it does. It does relate directly to the practice she's asking to do in Nevada, so I think the disclosure is proper. To have it in front of you is proper. But one of the things I can't do is put a condition on license. And I think in this particular case, you would probably want to put the condition, if something comes from this, that she has to report it. And I think she would anyway, but it just made sense to bring it in front of you so that you knew about it before you granted the license. And then if you choose to grant it, that you could put that condition on it. But with that, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Great. Board members, any additional questions for Ms. Cordisco?
Adam Porter, no questions. I mean, I think if something comes out of it, obviously we will have record of that on renewal. And if we feel like we need to see her at that time, we can do so. So I would feel comfortable with moving forward with her application. So I would move that we approve application for APRN to prescribe dangerous drugs and controlled substances for Kate Cordisco.
I would just ask for one thing, and I just wouldn't wait for the renewal. So just this particular case, if there is a negative outcome, that she reports that immediately to the board.
Absolutely.
I will amend my motion as such.
And just a question from me that, I noticed there were 2 applications, but with the other one, is it all controls that you're seeking?
No, just testosterone only.
It's related back to the application itself, so let me pull that up.
You didn't check any of the boxes. Would you just like 3 through 5 checked since you're not interested in prescribing any C2s?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Jade.
I'm only asking for testosterone, so it would just be 3.
I will second Mr. Pora. Do you need to amend your motion?
I would further amend my motion to clarify that the application is for schedules 3 through 5 only.
Okay, second.
Okay, we have an amended motion by Dr. Porath, a second by Dr. Jacobo. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, we wish you all the best, Kate.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Item 11.
Madam President, hold on one second. Our internet's, we're fighting our own internet. I think we're good, but go ahead. You're ready.
Okay. 11B for Janus RX.
Really, did you get a hold of them?
Yeah, they said they were waiting.
Okay.
Crystal.
I'm here. Give me just a second. Hello, how are you?
Hey, very good. Thank you for joining us today. Will
Sorry.
anyone else?
Well, yes, I do have someone else on the phone. He's on, let's see, give me just a second. 757-343-8626. It's the PIC, Derek Sapone.
We see him. Well, good. Derek, go ahead and unmute yourself from a phone.
Is it just the 2 of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Derek, and unmute yourself.
This is Derek Sapone, PIC. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Perfect.
Great. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right. So I'm going to start with having you both state your full name and titles, and we'll start with Ms. Mims first.
All right. Crystal Mims. I am the Chief Administrative Officer of Janus RX.
Thank you.
And Derek Sapone, pharmacist in charge for Janus RX.
And I'm going to swear you both in at the same time. I just need a verbal affirmation from each of you. So if you could join me in raising your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to provide will be both truthful and complete?
I do.
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, I will turn it over to Mr. Kuykendall.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a change in ownership application for an out-of-state pharmacy license for Janus RX. This is item 11B in the board book. It starts on page 3385. They are a retail community / mental and behavioral health pharmacy in Virginia Beach, Virginia. The Nevada licensed pharmacist they employed is Derek Sapone. And I just want to clarify, because on the application you put that Oluwatoyin was the pick, but currently it's Derek Sapone, is that right?
Yes.
And then when did you start to be the pick, Mr. Sapone?
When we originally had our application accepted, I think it was 2016.
So you've been the PIC since 2016?
Yes.
And then who is Oluwatoyin?
She's one of my staff pharmacists.
Okay, so maybe that was just a mistake in the application. Can you guys explain the change of ownership for us that has taken place?
Did you ask about the diversion?
No, I asked just what the change of ownership looks like, or how is it structured?
Oh, how is it structured? Okay, so, and you're asking about the chow, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we went in with a private equity firm back in October. And so we actually have I mean I have an org chart if you need that. It's about as complicated as it can get.
All right.
Do they have experience in pharmacies, the private equity?
They do. They have healthcare in their space. They actually it's Apex Infusion out of California is one of their companies. But you know, our whole team remains, right? So it's not necessarily a partnership, but it is a partnership.
I think, yeah, Billy's probably going to ask about that. So this is more of a financial situation
Correct.
than an operational
Correct.
situation.
Right.
And
Our
then
whole
with-
team is here. Yeah.
And then with the pharmacy that's in California.
That was not us. That's
No,
theirs.
I know. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. But are they getting you together and you're talking about pharmacy things, or they're just keeping you separate? There's no right or wrong answer. I just-
No, they're keeping us separate because they're completely different.
Sorry, Billy, thanks.
And then just to confirm, there will not be any staffing changes with the change in ownership, is that right?
No.
What about any changes in policies and procedures?
Not unless we're adding to them. No.
And then any changes in services based on the ownership change?
No, sir.
Next question is, can you provide details regarding the disciplinary action taken against Janus RX in Kentucky in 2023? The information you provide in the application mentions 629 dosage units of 15 different C2s that went missing.
I don't have the detail in front of me, but and it was not reported in the time that it should have been reported in. And so I would have to get that information to you to get the actual details. There was a fine. We did pay it, and everything was cleared after that.
Did you guys do an investigation of how they went missing?
I feel positive that we did. There again, I would have to get with our compliance officer and get you that detail.
Billy, just does the pick, do you know, were you around when that happened?
I'm not familiar with that. No.
No, right. So Derek is actually out of Virginia Beach. The pharmacy that was in Kentucky, it's a different kind of operation. The pharmacy that's in Virginia Beach is a call center.
Okay.
So they do not dispense.
So this couldn't happen at the pharmacy that you're looking for a child.
Correct. Correct. They do not have drugs.
Mr. Sapone, you had some disclosures on the application. It looks like there's 2 counts of misdemeanor for prescription fraud in Virginia. In the application, it's page 3405. Under the section to provide an explanation, all that you guys wrote was Derek's name. Can you provide some explanation with that?
Yeah, that was in 2010, 2011. I had a substance abuse issue and diverted some medications at the time and did go through treatment and completed a 5-year monitoring program. And have, everything has been fine since that point.
And then there's some other disclosures about discipline from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Colorado Board of Pharmacy, and South Carolina for knowingly providing false information on the pharmacist license application. Was that related to not reporting about the misdemeanor?
It was, yes.
And then what about the denial of the initial license from the state of Michigan in 2017?
That I did not meet the minimum board when I did my application with Michigan. I did not meet the minimum requirements for licensure. One of my licenses at the time was on probation. I believe it was Alabama. So they denied my application because I had one license on probation in Alabama.
Okay. And then you might have already answered this, but you also mark on the application, have you been diagnosed or treated for any mental illness, including alcohol or substance abuse or physical conditions that would impair your ability to perform the essential functions of your license? Was this just the substance abuse that you mentioned earlier?
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was from 2010, 2011.
Okay. And then when you applied for your Nevada license, I was pulling up the paperwork and it looks like you didn't disclose this information to us as well. Is there a reason why?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
How come you decided not to disclose your misdemeanor and mental health illness for your Nevada license?
Well, I might can speak to that. We actually, in the whole change of ownership, they had a firm that did the application, so it's possible they didn't have that information to give to you.
How long have you been licensed with Nevada, Derek?
2016, about the same time we got the Janus permit.
And are you the only pharmacist with Janus Rx that has a license in Nevada?
Do I what? I'm sorry.
Are you the only licensed pharmacist in Nevada at Janus Rx at this time?
Yes, at the call center pharmacy in Virginia, yes.
And then for your substance abuse, what substance was it?
What was what?
What was the substance?
Oh, hydrocodone.
I don't have any further questions. I'll leave it back to the board.
Hey, I guess for board staff, for the ownership change and any information on Apex Infusion, do we need to collect any further information there?
Related, should they be doing an ownership change too, or what do you mean? I don't know if
Well, they have, I believe Ms. Mims was saying that as part of the ownership change now, Apex Fusion is a part
Oh,
owner.
no,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
no, that's not true. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't mean to mislead on that. No, that's just another company that the private equity firm has in their portfolio. We have absolutely nothing
I
to do with
see.
them. I apologize about that.
Okay, no, that's my misunderstanding. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then for Derek Sapone, thank you for sharing your disclosures with us. So in terms of the substance use disorder from before, it sounds like you went through prescription monitoring program and you successfully completed 5 years. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then I think the other component is if you've been licensed with us since 2016, it's just a concern that you haven't reported it to the board.
I don't know if he has or hasn't. He might have in the past. We can research that. But go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I did actually. I met with the board. I had a board meeting. and had a psychologist with me, or I think it was a psychologist who came. I did come to a board meeting there to try to get my license, to meet and explain the situation and everything. So yeah, the board is aware.
Okay, in Nevada, correct?
Yes, in Nevada. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you. All right, that was it. So I
Yeah.
don't have any other questions. Board members, any additional questions for Janice?
No additional questions, Madam President. I feel like they've responded to all the concerns pretty appropriately, so I would move that we approve ownership change for Janus RX.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Kobo, second by Mr. Porath. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, we thank you for your time. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I believe that completes our agenda items minus public comment. Is there anything else I missed?
I'm just gonna put on the, no, you didn't miss anything. I put on the record one last time that for AA, we did not get in contact with the applicant, but we will continue to do that and then take the appropriate step moving forward once we've determined what's going on with that. But we attempted to make contact, but just haven't made contact.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, with that, as our final order of business, the board will open up the floor for any public comment. Do we have anyone in the room or online who wishes to make a public comment? If so, please come forward now or raise your hand in Zoom. Let us know through the chat function.
Not seeing anyone online, Madam President.
Okay, and I don't see anyone coming forward in the room, so we'll close the period for public comment. The date and location of our next scheduled board meeting is July 15, 16 here in Las Vegas. And with that, our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.